Hello, BookTube, and happy Trinity Sunday to any Catholics out there. Naturally, the fact that it's Trinity Sunday reminds me that I've always characterized uh, why anybody would watch my channel as a mystery on a level with the mystery of the Trinity. It's something that happens, but just doesn't make any sense at all. And that tempts me, of course, to use this Steve stream to ask that question again, why anybody would watch this channel. But there won't be any good answers, or maybe they'll all be good answers. And besides, that's not what's really on my mind. This is really just a compensation Steve stream. Because I had a guest here at Hyde Cottage. Micah Cummins came up for the weekend, and we had a wonderful time. It was an absolutely wonderful visit, and I know it doesn't seem it on my channel because of my 10-pack abs and my chiseled features and my uh, MGTOW air, but I'm a big softie, and I love having guests. I'm a very, very sociable host, and believe it or not, the flip side of that is that when my guests go, I feel sad. I feel sad when the guest goes. I go around the house. I clean up things, fold up the cot and put it away, clean up the stuff that's on the counter, take up the bedclothes and the pillows and the pillowcases, put all that away, store it, launder it if I have to, and then just sort of wander around. If you could see it, you'd just laugh your head off. I just sort of wander around despondent because my guest has gone. Guests have to go. They don't get to stay unless they're dogs. If I run across a random dog and they become a guest, they get to stay. But humans have their own lives to go back to. Like Micah has his own life to go back to. And I was wandering around and I was moping, and then I thought the best cure for the post-visit blues is to have more guests. And the best way to do that, the easiest way to do that, the only way to do that on a Sunday night is to have a Steve stream where all of you are here. All the regulars, all the new people, and the spaminator. So I just decided to do this. I don't really have any topic in mind uh, that we could chat about. I figure if anybody shows up, I'll just chat with the chat just to make myself feel a little bit less lonely. Isn't that ridiculous? Frida is right here next to me. She's right here. She hasn't left my side in 3 days. So I'm not lonely. It's just I'm missing my guest. That's all. It was a wonderful, wonderful, fun visit. Uh, the only the only subject that came up just recently, just now, just this afternoon over Washington. Any of you who are in the Washington area, there was a sonic boom. Uh, just sounded like the sky cracking open, and the reason for it was that a plane wandered off course into restricted airspace over DC, and fighter jets went up. Two of them went up right away to find out what was wrong, to physically look into the cockpit of the plane and see, are the pilots under duress? Are they signaling correctly? And also to get the plane out of that airspace, to escort it either out of that airspace or take it down, force it to the ground. Um, as far as I know, the latest reporting is that there was nothing nefarious. The plane just had navigational problems, and that's usually the way of it. It happens a few times a year that a plane will wander into that airspace when they know perfectly well they're not supposed to. They know just what's going to happen. There's a military base right across the river in Anacostia. They know that planes are going to go up right away to get them out of that area. Uh, and of course, I'm watching that storyline, but I'm also thinking about 9/11. I'm thinking about the fact that that didn't happen on 9/11. That very signally did not happen. Or in the few cases where something roughly like it happened way too late. It wasn't instantaneous. That that is just a matter of course. That has been true for 30 or 40 years in the airspace over DC, which leads to the question of whether or not someone in the Bush administration issued a stand down. It's the only thing that would explain why planes didn't go up right away when there was certain knowledge that a hijacked aircraft was headed to Washington, D.C. That was known for an hour. the excuses that were given by Bush administration officials that their planes weren't ready or that there weren't any nearby is nonsense. That's just nonsense. Why didn't it happen? It seems not to tread into conspiracy theory territory, but it looks like the only thing that could stop that would be an order, a stand down order. Uh, and I'm naturally thinking of that because that what happened today is exactly what is supposed to happen. It's exactly what people in that area have seen happen their whole lives. It's just interesting that now everybody has those Ring cameras. Everybody has home surveillance cameras, so you can see the sonic boom, hear the sonic boom caught on camera, just ripping apart the air over these quiet suburban neighborhoods. No, but wait, we've got to chat, and that was the whole point here. Uh, what are we doing here? Rob Cousy, I watch because I have a thing for 20 something booktubers. And see, I'm not going to get any good answers. I don't know myself. When Mike and I were watching videos, we did watch a couple of my videos. And as usual, when I have a booktuber here, I just wanted someone to explain that to me. What are you actually seeing when you're watching this channel? Which is the one thing I can't know. Right? The one thing I can't do is watch my channel as someone who's not me. So I was trying to figure it out. Micah was doing his best, bless his heart, but he could not. There is no answer. It's like the Trinity. It's Trinity Sunday. uh, let's see here. Blue Laser Ryan says hi. Gagging for lit, watching as I drink tea from my Princess Jasmine mug. And yes, it sounds like you had a twink-tastic weekend. Oh, that is kind of true, isn't it? I mean, Micah is pretty much the dictionary definition of a twink. Those of you who don't know that terminology, you'll have to Google it. This is a family channel. Certainly the look of it is that way. But it was wonderful. It was absolutely wonderful. There's always that awkward moment when you're no longer walking around doing things. We met in downtown Boston. We walked around. We went to the Brattle. But there's and that's fine. That all works just fine. But then there's that moment when your guest is now over your threshold and in your home, and they're not going home. They've got a return ticket. So you're sort of jumping off a cliff with them. There's that moment when they sit down, you get in, you cool off, shower and clean up and whatnot. And then the guest sits down, and then you're gonna find out whether or not this was a miscalculation. And it's a terrible sinking feeling when it is, because you still have to be a good host. And sometimes the guest doesn't know it. Sometimes they're not aware. Uh, but uh, it is just a glowingly wonderful feeling when it works. When you reach that moment and realize, oh, okay, here's a friend. So, but anyway, Jenny Park says, "Evening all. They're not the point. Eyes on the prize." Nancy Nickerson, our Steve is sad. Let's all go visit him. Well, this is the closest thing, and it's wonderful. It's a miracle. So I'm not discounting it at all. But I was wandering around this place. I swear, I keep going back to the image because it was so pathetic. But I was wandering around the place just aimlessly from room to room. Well, Frida just watched me because she doesn't know what's going on. And then I thought, you have a tool at your disposal that in previous years you did not have. So why not just have a Steve stream, have a bunch of people over? Uh, Randy Ray's here. How wonderful. Oh, wait, I lost you. Let's get back. I'm so glad you're having a Steve stream. I've been under the weather for several days, and these live stream videos always improve my mood. They always improve my mood too. I have four friends who do YouTube full time, and two of those friends do YouTube uh, full time with a capital F and a capital T. They make a very very good living, and all of them told me years ago, uh, the one thing you can count on is if you do a live stream, you'll feel better. It will pick you up. And I just discounted it because I didn't know how it would work, but it's true. Unless this one is the exception. Let's see here. Jenny Parks says, "I'll get a new passport and come too." Oh my God, don't visit America. If you need a passport in order to come here from another country, don't do that. Monet Doyle says hello. Declan Steiger says hello. Tommy Umbrella. I don't think I know that name. Hi Steve. What's the book of the we? What is the we? What's the book of the we? I don't understand the question. Blue Laser Ryan, did you and Micah have a good chat over grape juice and pizza rolls? Well, Micah is underage, right? In Massachusetts, the drinking age is Micah is extremely young. He's 50 years younger than I am. But we ordered a mess of food. There's a place just literally one door away that really does a good job. If you want, it's an indulgence. I don't ever indulge in it when I'm just by myself. Steamed rice is just fine. Thank you very much. But when you've got a guest, it's incredibly wonderful because you can just walk over there. It takes 60 seconds to walk over there, and the food is delicious, and the portions are huge. And Frida was delightful, and there was lots and lots to talk about. It was just wonderful. It was better than I hoped it would be. Uh, Sergeant Earache, not so complicated, Steve. You're an interesting fellow who speaks well and is entertaining to listen to. Plus, I value your interior design wisdom. Well, maybe that's it. Micah and I did a lot. We did a lot of talking about YouTube and about BookTube, and who we watch and why we watch them and what we think of it all. Of course, if you follow his channel, and you should go over and subscribe. You'll see that he hasn't made ready regular videos in a while. He's still juggling video making and work, plus a family life and friends and whatnot. We did a lot of talking about it. We didn't come to any conclusions, I don't think. Monet Doyle, did you see? Now I'm on the edge of my seat. What was I supposed to have seen? How is this possible? Am I reading this right? 11 minutes, 80 people? Did That can't be right. It must be. I don't know what the numbers mean. That can't be right. But anyway, let's keep on track here because I've got people here. You're all visiting me here. It's very nice of you to do. I was feeling down in the dumps, and I know this will make me feel better. Uh, Jenny Parks, we simply see our friend chatting to us. Good, good. That's exactly what you should see. And the huge parts of YouTube that consider me to be Satan incarnate, well, they don't know what they're missing, do they? Rob Cousy, Steve, longtime viewer, but a question I have is, where did you go to college? There are all sorts of conflicting scholarly schools about that. It just depends on which tradition you want to believe. All sorts of different institutions have that honor, or maybe do. I've been spotted on all sorts of campuses over the past century. Fit to be read. If all the pizza rolls are gone, I don't think it will be worth me to stop by in July when I'm in Boston on my way to the P-Town ferry. I can never tell when your dry wit is in operation. But if you are really going to P-Town this summer, you must detour to Boston. You must. You don't have to stay on the David Murphy Memorial Cot if you don't want to. We could just meet at the Brattle. But you can't come that close, especially since, unfortunately, I probably will never go to P-Town again. How I wish I could. What memories I have. Oh my God. Some of the stories that I could tell. Oh my God. But maybe you're just joking. Uh, Monet Doyle, did you see President Biden recently? Do you mean on TV? I was telling Micah stories about the times that I've met Joe Biden, but I don't think you mean in person. You mean on TV, a speech or a comment to a press, or I, I I mean he's on the news every day. I see him when he's on the news. Gagging for lit. I love this channel because Steve does not hold back with his opinions and does not sugarcoat things. Well, but I'm a softie. I don't sugarcoat things. It's true, but I'm a softie. If you could have seen me shuffling around this place all mopey because my guest went home as we both knew he was going to do. James Amix. I'm currently reading Penguin Classics edition of The Praise of Folly. Erasmus is immediately good company on the page, but is slightly above my head. Can you recommend any 101 Life and Times books? Uh, well, there are a couple of really good entry level biographies of Erasmus, but you don't knowing his biography isn't going to help you with The Praise of Folly. The problem with The Praise of Folly, I agree with you completely. He is immediately good company on the page. Glad that's coming through. Uh, but the problem with the book is that it's couched in a lot of controversies and scandals of its day. The way to fix that up is just to read the Wikipedia entry on The Praise of Folly. That will clue you in as much as you need to be clued in. And although the Penguin edition has great notes to clarify all sorts of things, and also if you take a 30,000-foot look, the religious hypocrisy that is mocked ceaselessly in the Folly still exists today. Is still very much with us. Andrew Russell. Hi, Steve. I was just thinking it's been at least a week since the last Steve stream. A week too long. Well, yes. For a few days there last week, I was buried in this mysterious job that I have that is just merciless. And I got last week, I intentionally worked ahead on that and a bunch of other things, doubling and tripling the amount of work I did on them during the day, each day, so that I'd have a little time without any of that on my mind while Micah was here. So first thing tomorrow, start a business tomorrow morning. All of that goes back to normal. But I'm still hoping for more. And of course, I couldn't do a Steve stream with Micah here, right? Because that is when you know that you are a dumb YouTuber. That's when you know that you're, a streamer, bro. Is when you've got a living, breathing guest in the room and you're still going online. That's no, I didn't do that. I was lucky that I made any videos at all. Uh, let's see here. James Amex. I should have started with hi Steve. So hi Steve. Jenny Parks. I have to visit sometime. You promised us all a tour of the Brattle. Anybody who comes to Boston, I will gladly meet you at the Brattle. If I have the feeling deep down in my instincts that a visit wouldn't work, or if just for your own logistics a visit doesn't work, we can still meet at the Brattle. That will absolutely work either way. Or if I'm crushed with work, that can happen too. Uh, like for the another booktuber, J. Scott Phillips, was just here in Boston. We met at the Brattle, but that was right when the reality of this new task, this summer long task, was really dawning on me, and I didn't think that I had the night free. I didn't think that I could do it. Uh, Dylan M. What I see in this channel is that you're a guest I welcome into my home every day. You entertain, educate, and scold me. On one occasion, I welled up at the story of a young man you once knew, and the rest of that, you were the only one who could still carry the memories of the world you two knew together. In short, what we get out of booktube is what we get out of reading, to empathize and be entertained. Well, that's awful nice. That's awful nice. Uh, Aaron says, I recently finished Shogun for the first time. Yes, I know I'm late for March of the Mammoths. I would also love an author's diary of writing that book. My one question, where was Suo's revenge? Did Clavell ever write even an essay about writing Shogun? God, it would be unbearable if he did. It would be just unbearable if he did. I don't know if it exists. Maybe it has, and I blocked it out because that would be the worst to get him going like that. He was bad enough in person when he was talking about the grand plan that I had. Please. Anyway, let's see. Francisco. It was a treat to see two good friends together. Micah is such a nice and intelligent young man. Yes, yes. I. It was like I mentioned. It was an amazing feeling. That feeling when the guest sits in the chair and now there's no hope for it. There's no walking around, there's no sightseeing, there's no Brattle, there are no props. Guest sits in the chair, you look at each other, and then you will know, is this going to be a meeting of friends or is this going to be an awkward duty that you have to get through? And it wasn't 15 minutes before I don't know how Mike, I don't know how long Mike, I'm pretty sure felt the same way. I don't know how when it dawned on him, but I knew right away, oh yeah, this is going to be a wonderful time. Uh, Geocraftsman, you are, shall we say, demographically distinct from most booktubers. Yeah. Yeah, I am. It's true. Laverne Hodge says, hi, Stephen. Hi, Frida. Frida is right here. I'm actually going to make her out. She's right plastered next to me because it's chilly here in Boston. And if the minute it starts, now that she's 6, the minute it starts to be chilly, she just presses herself against me. It doesn't leave. Uh, let's see here. Tommy Umbrella. Sorry, we meant weekend. What is the book of the weekend? A single book? Am I being punished? I have read 7 books so far this weekend. And the one that I'm doing tonight, do I have it here? Uh, well, I do, but it's buried under a pile of books. I'm going to free it tonight. It's a book that I just hauled it on this channel, The Nonconformist, about the American Czech literary axis of connection. That I meant to do. I had it in the little book room for the night that I got it in the mail, and it got buried by other things. And then I got distracted by other things, but I'm gonna get to that tonight. That'll be to start with, and then a western and a romance for my normal onslaught of videos, which will commence tomorrow. I was going to do them today, but my heart just wasn't in it. I was just a little bit too bummed out by having my guest gone. So I'll start up a normal barrage of videos tomorrow. Oh my god, I'm way behind. Read Aloud of Barchester Towers. I've got chatting category romance. Sarah just put up a video on that channel, so I have to put up a video on that channel. Got Book Trek. I've got June on the Range. There'll be mail, I'm hoping, but not today. Just today, we'll be just talking with all of you. Uh, let's see here. Andrew Russell. Unlikely, I know, but if you're ever in Scotland, I'd be more than happy to meet you in person. I will never be in Scotland again. I will never see it again. That's amazing. I've walked over every inch of it, but so that will never happen. But we have this. That's good enough for me. Francisco, yes, it is right. 80 people in the audience is correct. You have a great following. We're going to be 100 plus and more. 87 people at 20 minutes for an old guy who just wants to talk to people because he's feeling a little bit lonely. That is unbelievable. That is absolutely unbelievable. Uh, let's see here. Aaron says Steve is Enoch Root. He changes identities to attend new colleges. Monet Doyle says on television with a question mark. What on television? I'm not Monet Doyle. I wish you would just take a step back, take a deep breath, take a step back, and write a comment. Don't do this little bits and pieces. Write the question that you want to ask. The noun, the predicate, the question mark, the whole of it in one comment, so that I know what you're talking about. This is like your third comment where I don't know what you're talking about. Uh, Randy Ray, when I get the feeling better, I'm coming to Boston to visit. It would be great. Oh, that would be wonderful. What a video we could make together. It'd be endless. Fit to be read. Will David Murphy also be in the David Murphy Dreamboat cot? It's not a Dreamboat cot. I bought the previous futon that I used for guests had degenerated into a medieval torture chamber. So I got rid of it. I put it out on the sidewalk, and even the junk collectors didn't take it. The trash man had to come and rip it to pieces. So I bought a cot online that is it's the basic thing, but it's far more comfortable. And I am hoping to get David Murphy up here. That would be nice. It would be very, very nice to do. I am nagging him like a Boston fishwife. Sooner or later, he will crack. But anyway, seriously though, if there's enough time between my flight and my ferry, I'll I'll tell you beforehand if to see if we can meet. Is she really going to Provincetown? Oh, you're so lucky. I want pictures. I send me pictures, tons of them. Oh, that is just so wonderful. I have two stories of Provincetown. One from the late 1970s that is unbelievable, and then one from the late 1980s that is a little bit heartbreaking. And if you have the time, oh my God, if you could somehow have the time to overnight here before you go out there, the David Murphy Memorial Cot is ready. And what stories we could see in the case of a lot of people who are here in this chat. And I don't have that worry. I'm sure that it would not be a guest burden. It would be a wonderful time. And I shouldn't have had that worry with Micah either. I mean, we Voxer all the time. I shouldn't have had that worry. The only thing that was on my mind is that I mean, I'm accustomed to age differences with most of the people that I know. As I've said on my channel many times, I prefer to deal with younger people. People my own age tend to be really boring. But half a century difference is a lot. But it worked, and I know that it will work with everybody here. So, uh, where am I here? Aaron, you met Biden. Whose biography did he plagiarize while talking to you? You know your Biden history. Though that was the first time that I met him. That was the first two times that I met him. I and every other op-ed writer in the entire country had been hammering him on his plagiarism scandal, and he wanted to meet us. When he did a tour in Iowa, which of course any presidential candidate has to do, he wanted to meet the people who'd been hammering him, anonymous or not. And I got to talk to him first in a gaggle of people, and then alone a couple of times because we clicked. We hit it the minute that he knew that I eat, sleep, and breathe dogs. That I love them more than just as the usual kind of see spot run animated toy. That I love them as people. The minute he knew that, it was everything changed. uh, Monet Doyle, the president was in front of people and he tripped and fell. Yes. Okay, so that's what you mean. Yes. Yes, I saw that. Yeah, he tripped and fell over a weird sandbag that absolutely should not have been on stage. I have no idea what it was doing there. But I saw all the coverage of it, positive and negative. I saw the MAGA coverage, for instance, saying, this is we're doing senior care, we don't have a president, et cetera, et cetera. I wanted to ask them, do you have any idea what would happen to Donald Trump if he tripped and fell to the ground? Do you have any idea what would happen? Do you have any idea what it would look like? It would not look like a spry, healthy old man falling and then getting back up again. It wouldn't look like that. There'd be pieces everywhere. That if that exact thing had happened to Donald Trump, it would have looked completely different. But there's no sense because Trump cult won't believe it. They don't believe anything. They are in a cult, so it's no point in telling them that. Uh, Andrew Russell, hi Steve. What are your? Oh, where'd you go? Where did you go? Let's go back. Uh, oh my God, how many people are here? Good Lord. Oh my God. Oh, almost 90 people are here. Uh, Andrew Russell, hi Steve. What are your thoughts on the shock doctrine by Naomi Klein? I'm enjoying the read, but wondering if it is heavily biased in its research. Is this a trick question? Are you trying to get me canceled on YouTube? I would say it's a bit biased in its research. That's true. Back away from the donkeys here. Hi, Steve and Frida. For once, I managed to catch you live. I watched your video with the great title, "Why Am I So Bad at BookTube?" Events?" It was really a lot of fun. Laverne Hodge, can you recommend a book about Agatha Christie? Uh, well, she gets a new biography about every other year. There was one just last year, I think, and they all do exactly what you expect an Agatha Christie book to do. They all do it. None of them is noticeably bad at it. You've got to focus a huge amount of attention over her mysterious, not so mysterious disappearance. You've got to talk about the book writing schedule and the contracts and whatnot. I, they've never done anything for me. Whenever people have said, "Can you recommend a biography of Agatha Christie?" I always recommend her own book. Her own autobiography is amazingly good. It's amazing reading. I would do that before I do any of the, Woman of Mystery or Mysterious Woman or all of them. They're all, oh no, the Spaminators here. Oh, now your favorite guest. Yeah, that awkward moment. That's the one I mentioned. Declan Tiger, did your guest help out with the latest thumbnails? No, no. My Book Trek thumbnail and my June on the Range thumbnail, works of art. They are beautiful works of art. They're both done for me by Michael K. Vaughan. They're works of art. Every video that I do for June on the Range and Book Trek I will be using those thumbnails. And when the time comes, I'm gonna try to get him to do me a Garbagus thumbnail. But I love them, absolutely love them. There's tentacles, there's giant killer sharks. They're just perfect. Uh, Marcelo Silva. Uh, hey, it is so nice to see you again. To recall times that you were not alone at your place and having fun somewhere else and traveling. What is the next book for the S&M travel book on your suggestion? Well, I didn't I drive Mark at Book Time with Elvis off of BookTube? Didn't I do that? Don't I do that? Aren't I the Typhoid Mary of BookTube? Or I no sooner buddy up to somebody than they stop making videos. Um, I have lots and lots of travel writing suggestions, but I don't know the fate of the S&M Travel Book Club. I have no idea. I should probably Voxer Mark and see if maybe he is willing to, to saddle up again. Uh, uh, Jenny Park says, "Hey, Spaminator, how is work? They still after you?" Aaron says, "You said in one of your videos on it that you wished you could read a book about the writing of Shogun." Yeah, and I don't think I ever have. I don't think I've even read an essay like for Life magazine or something like that. I don't think Clavel ever did it. If he did, I've missed it, thankfully. Uh, uh, let's see here. Andrew Russell is responding to Laverne Hodge, uh, not to me. D Temple 54, we watch because you are the best on books. Well, that's very nice. I'm pretty good on books. I know I talk all obnoxious, but in plain reality, I'm pretty good on books. Uh, Leo Percar, I saw Steve on a Chris Williamson video. Dude Bro confirmed. No. Well, you must be. That's just a joke, right? Chris Williamson certainly does not know that I exist. He certainly would not excerpt one of my videos, and he's totally, on the pro fake side of YouTube. So if he wanted to use a clip from a video of mine, he would probably have his people ask me if it's okay. I don't. That must just be a joke. What I wouldn't give, what I wouldn't give to have an hour with him. I wonder if I could save him. He's right in the demographic of young men that I can typically save. But first, they need to be fixed. First, I need to fix them before I can spend the time to save them. Number one fix, the if we're going to spend time together in the same room, if we're going to walk around and talk about things, you can't be a tobacco addict. I'm not going to get lung cancer because of you. So that has to go, and that's usually the work of months to get that out, to stop that. Because I have to tell them it's not enough that you don't do it around me. Your body is giving off these chemicals even when you're not. And besides, you're still going to reek like an attar pit, whether you're doing it around me or not. So you just have to stop. You have to get rid of the addiction. But also, I don't know if you've watched his channel recently, but another thing that I would have to fix is to slap him across his pretty puckered face and tell him, get rid of the porn stash. Get rid of the stupid facial hair. I know you're a part of a cult. This cult of revanchist, so-called manhood. We've got to have a full bristly beard at age 20 or whatever he is. You've got to have facial hair. You've got to treat women as though they were slaves. You've got to smoke cigars. You've got to have, a real rot gut gin, whether you like it or not. You're not allowed to have any personal taste. You have to do all this yourself. And you've got to have kind of a grudging, well, you got to give it to him admiration for Donald Trump. All of that would have to go. I could do it in the course of an hour on camera, and he'll never know this, but it would be a ratings bonanza for him if he did. But uh, I don't know. I'm assuming that you're joking. I'm assuming he did not reference me. He does not know that this channel exists. I'm the natural enemy of ridiculous channels like his, just the natural enemy of those places. Um, Laverne Hodges thanking Andrew. Oh, why? Oh, right, because Andrew recommended a biography of Agatha Christie. But I have already given a recommendation on the subject, and it was not a biography of Agatha Christie's. Lou G, I was just in the middle of watching STD Part 1 of Bring Up the Bodies when I got the notification that you were live. Yes, indeed, we started Bring Up the Bodies today. And I don't think I have it within reach, but I couldn't resist using the UK trade paperback that I got at the Boston Public Library book sale with Micah. I couldn't resist doing that, even though I have the Canadian trade paperback. And I I don't know if you'll be able to tell when you watch that video, but at almost every point that I wanted to make in that video, I was almost visibly forcing myself to be concise because I could talk about this book, this subject, this period, the Tudors forever. And I was telling myself ahead of time, don't go on and on. Just talk about a few highlights from these 100 pages. Try to keep that up for Me of the Bodies. Uh, Gagging for Lit, reading Beyond Black by Hilary Mantel at the moment and loving it. Highway Cavalier. Hi, Steve. I just want to say what a pleasure it is when I can catch one of your live streams. Well, isn't that nice? Highway Cavalier. I know that name. Aaron, if it's any comfort, your unpretentious booktubing style is quite preferable to the norm. We're glad you're here. Well, that's awful nice to say. I never know what to do. Every once in a blue moon, I will get a weird comment. Some some stranger will come flying in at an angle into my comment section from the Oort cloud, and I don't know what they're seeing. That's what I was trying to ask Micah. What are people seeing when they are seeing a video of mine? It's the one thing I can't know. And sometimes a person will come in out of nowhere with a weird comment. And sometimes those comments are, well, who's this pretentious old guy? And I make a point if someone is just a random, celestial object that is in a random orbit, they're just banging into my channel and they'll be gone. They're not sticking around. I make a point if I see a comment like that, not respond to it. And that person's not going to see the response. It doesn't matter anyway. They don't know anything about me. Then they didn't read the land before they made their comment. But even so, when I get a comment like that, the first thing I want to do is go running to the rest of you and say, that cannot be true, right? No matter all the things that you could say about me, there are a whole bunch of things you could say about me. But pretentious, that cannot be true. That has to just be a misreading by someone who's never watched anything but the one video and who probably came in angry. I'm glad you say unpretentious because that I am not pretentious. But anyway, the Spaminator is responding to Jenny. Uh, Orbis 11 says, "Hi, Steve. Visited Boscobel House and Mosley Old Hall the other day. Have you recommendations for the best Charles escape book?" No, not just on his escape. The most vivid book that I've ever read on that subject was a historical novel by Jean Plaidy, uh, who had a real soft spot for Charles II. But Jean Plaidy, I'm pretty sure, is entirely out of print. So God knows. I don't even remember what it was called. The dumb old paperback that I had naturally him in a tree, but I don't remember what the name of it was. She wrote, I think, 3 or 4 books on Charles. Uh, Aaron says Monet is practicing cliffhangers. Well, not anymore. She got it. She got it out eventually. She was asking about the clip, the infamous, now viral clip of Biden tripping and falling on stage in front of a bunch of cadets. And I saw it. I am a past master at watching U.S. presidents fall. I've watched them fall. I've watched them vomit. I've watched them do all kinds of things, and there was nothing about that at all. Anyone would have tripped over that thing where it was, and a whole bunch of people who are Biden's age or only a couple of years younger, like Trump is, would have needed to be carried off the stage. They would have been the rest of the day in bed. He tucked and rolled. It's ridiculous that the MAGA crowd is even saying that this is, proof positive he's not fit to be president. Again, I will say, you just don't have any idea what would happen if Donald Trump did that. If he tripped and fell to the ground, if he hit the stage, it would have been caught on camera, and it would have been an absolute revelation. Except revelation is the wrong word, because the people who are in Trump cult, nothing can get them out of it. Nothing can be a revelation to them. They're not seeing visible reality. They think he's 6'3". They think he's 190 pounds. Uh, but anyway, Andrew Russell. Well, if you won't be in Scotland, then maybe I'll have to visit Boston someday. Well, I won't be in Scotland. So if we're going to meet firsthand, where you go, you're going to have to come to you're going to have to Mohammed's going to have to come to the mountain if we're going to meet in person. But this is fine. This right here is fine. Jerome Jacobson, you talked about your gaydar the other day. I'm so curious. Is there an author whom you suspect is/was gay based on their writing? Yes, yes. Although gaydar is usually not literary. Certainly, there are authors I suspect based on interviews that filmed interviews that I've seen, videos, promotional videos for their book that I've seen. Yeah, the odd one or two. Fortunately, it's a term and a whole phrase that's kind of taking on a newer and wishy-washier meaning now, because despite 500 pieces of vicious legislation being introduced in the Deep South and all over the West of America, and despite the recent uh, governmental rule in Africa, uh, the the pendulum is still swinging in the right direction when it comes to people just accepting gay people. So once upon a time, gaydar was a lot more loaded. It was a lot more of a freighted thing for you to get a sense that someone might be hiding that secret, because in a lot of places in the world now, including a lot of places in America, it's not that big a secret anymore. It's not that big a deal anymore. There's half the country and all of the fascist party in America would like it to be. They would like it to go from being not a big deal to being a criminal offense or a capital offense. And who knows if they'll succeed in the short term. There's only one thing that can prevent that from happening, and it's a horribly thin reed to put a lot of weight on. It's Gen Z. Gen Z can prevent that from happening. But will they? Will they put down their jewels long enough to do it? I don't know. uh, uh, but my own gaydar is pretty darn good. It's pretty darn good. It was developed at a time when you absolutely had to have it because no one could admit anything. Uh, but anyway, Aaron says, P Town, Bear Week. I know far too much about gay culture for a straight guy. Uh, I, I'd visited a few times um, before the incident that I'm talking about, the one incident that I'm talking about in the late 70s. I visited a few times before then. But after a while, it became incumbent on me that I should have a P Town moment. Everybody does. Everybody gets at least one. There's nothing wrong with it at all. and I did. I did my best. I did my best. Let's see here. Oh, wait, how many people are here? 88 people. Okay, I'm gonna go back. I don't wanna lose anybody. We're gonna except Spaminator. I wouldn't so much mind losing him, but you know how it goes. He'll be the one that stays the longest. Uh, let's get back to Aaron uh, talking about P Town. Uh, oh, all these people. All right, we'll fire through some comments here so we catch up a little. Sarp Kaya, don't know that name. How did you go about learning languages? Mostly by immersion, mostly by needing to be there, by needing to figure it out. I have a very good aptitude for that. A lot of people don't. A lot of people just won't ever pick it up. But I'm very good at that sort of thing. I've that kind of learning is really easy for me, and it usually was the perfect spur that I needed to learn a language was that if I don't know it, I don't know how to ask for supper. That nothing will help you to learn a language faster than that. Fit to be read. I'll be with the whole family and hopefully not rushing to the boat. P Town is nostalgic for me. It's where I came out. And then I had a streak of vacationing there every year for 6 years with a friend. Wow, what a place to come out. Wow. Well, if you're with the whole family, then the whole lot of you are not going to fit on the David Murphy Memorial Cot, but we can at least meet somewhere before you head off. It's a charm place for me too. Lots and lots of memories for me as well. Aaron, I'll never forgive Biden for the Patriot Act. After it passed, he made sure to tell everyone that it was practically identical to the bill he'd written years earlier. Well, okay, okay. I agree with the sentiment behind that, but I cannot agree, and you cannot say the first part of it anymore. You have to forgive him. I mean, there's a whole bunch of things that you could not forgive Biden for. Being the literary sort, I don't really forgive him for the plagiarism business, but also Anita Hill and a whole bunch of other stuff. There are a whole bunch of things that you can't forgive him for, but you have to because the alternative wanted to execute his vice president. The alternative is America's drop into fascism. And if you've read any history, just read Richard Evans on the rise of the Third Reich. If you've read any history, you know how horrible that will be. All these people, all the MAGA Trump cult, proudly calling themselves fascists and calling for fascism, calling for the trashing of the oldest and most durable democracy in the world. They have no idea what the reality would be if they got what they want. So I do forgive Biden for the Patriot Act, and so should you. I'm willing to forgive him just about anything. If he kicked his dog, maybe, but he would rather kick his wife than kick his dog, so that's not going to happen. Sergeant Earache, LOL about Trump. Yes, he's in no way more healthy person, either physically or mentally, than Biden. Not in a whole bunch of ways. Not in a whole bunch of ways. He's 340 pounds and in terrible, terrible shape. He doesn't have the ability to heave himself up off the stage. Biden would have got up under his own power if his service detail hadn't helped to get him up. He would have got up under his own power. He's done it on camera a few times since he's been president. Trump wouldn't be able to do that. And not only that, but a lot of other things too. It takes a lot of work to make him look the way he does first thing when he goes out in the day. It takes a lot of work to make him look that way. And I mean physical work. There are undergarments, special undergarments that he needs to have on and trussed and dry and well packed. There's that thing on his head, that the weird thing that he does with his hair. That's 45 minutes to do every day. If he fell, he would almost literally shatter into pieces. So he's a far less healthy than Biden, far less healthy. Uh, Jenny Parks, Biden is almost as old as the founding fathers. Maybe he did write the bill. He often jokes about that now. He's not quite as funny on it as Reagan was. Reagan used to make good, genuinely funny stand-up comedy about how old he was. But Biden does the same thing. He did it for what was it? His first White House Correspondents' Dinner. He did a few good gags there. Uh, Gandhi Angles is here. More concerned than it appeared Biden could not get up on his own. They had to pull him up. No, no, he would have been able to get up on his own. He could have. Keep in mind, in that moment, in those circumstances, the Secret Service, it's their job to pull him to his feet. It's their job to, as they say, take control of the target. Their job in a moment like that is to take physical control of the president's body. So even if even if the president can move, he's not allowed to. They have to be in complete control of the package the whole time. That's why all their hands were on him, or Biden would have just got up on his own. It might have taken him some time. He's not a young man, but the thing that bothered me was the Trump cult gloating and reactions. We need an alpha male in the White House and all that. It's just ugh, just disgusting. Uh, Back away from the donkey. I'm determined to at least finish book track. Well, booktube events can be draining. I'm going to be doing a bunch of them tomorrow to catch up, to get back up to speed with all of my booktube stuff. Jason Carmichael, hi Steve. What is your favorite place to visit in Canada? Also, do you prefer the writings of Margaret Atwood or Alice Munro? Are you are you tweaking me, Jason Carmichael, or are you brand new here? It's got to be one of the two. My favorite places in Canada are not places. I couldn't point them to you. It was wilderness. I did a lot of tramping around in the wilderness. So it wasn't cities or towns. It was places that I couldn't they aren't places, they're just huge tracts of forest. Those are my favorite memories of Canada. And as to Margaret Atwood or Alice Munro, let's just say I esteem their literary quality exactly the same. Uh, Will Chambers, I will say hello and sorry. I'll miss this live as those pesky work commitments mean I have to go to sleep. But now I know that I'll watch on my lunch break. Really enjoy the live stream videos. Just be late. And when you're late, when you roll in at noon, tell them that you were up late watching a Steve stream. That ought to be excuse enough. uh, Declan Steiger, were you on the receiving end of any Biden public displays of affection in Iowa? Joe is very hands on. I was talking with Micah about this. Yeah, I was. Not the first time, but once he felt like there was any kind of connection, he was literally all over me, as he is with everybody. He is a very hands on guy, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's not Uncle Joe the pedo. It's not anything that Trump cult says. For a large number of a certain generation, that was normal. If you were talking with a guy and you liked that guy, you leaned your arm on his shoulder, which is exactly what Biden did to me on more than one occasion. You lean your arm on his shoulder. He makes a good point. You use your other arm to pat his shoulder, maybe even rub his shoulder if he's talking about a dog that died or something like that. Nothing, no intent behind it at all. Not at all. And Biden admitted as much on the campaign trail. He said, I have heard you when you all tell me, especially the young people around me, tell me that people don't do that anymore. There was never any negative intent on my part, but I now recognize that people don't do it anymore, so I won't. I'll be more careful. That is the absolute truth. It amazes me when Trump cult goes on and on about how he's a dictator worse than Hitler, how America is suffering in his grasp, and we need to free America from him. All this stuff, it's just ridiculous. He's the kindest, most decent guy that you would ever meet. I, Except maybe, ironically enough, George H.W. Bush, who was very similar, but he wasn't quite as hands-on. Nobody's quite as hands-on as Joe Biden. Anyway, Geo Craftsman, I could definitely feel Michael K. Vaughan's hand at work in the new thumbnails. Aren't they beautiful? Aren't they beautiful? I drew a rough sketch of some of the basic elements for the book trek one, but he did the June on the Range one all by himself. They're just beautiful. I'm going to use them so proudly. Uh, the Spaminator. Finished Middlemarch. Definitely see why it's considered a masterpiece, and I did enjoy it. But I have to confess, it's not my favorite style of novel. Warrants a reread. The more you reread it, the better you will like it. I bet. That's certainly been true for me. Jenny Park's Middlemarch. I can't even get through Dracula. I promised Mark that I'd finish it for Friday. Don't know if I can make it. Why on earth would you have trouble getting through Dracula? Colo Colo 1546. Hi, Steve. I'm multitasking tonight, listening to you and trying to find out on the page if court gentry can escape from Syrian loyalists. I think we can assume that he can. I just read a very court gentry type of book. Oh my God, am I going to remember what it is? It's the first book in a thriller. It was really, really good. It will please that crowd. If you have that kind of a sweet tooth, you're gonna love the book. What was it called, though? Oh my god. Um, oh, can I find out? It doesn't come out until July. I think it's a July book. Um, mm, is this it right here? I don't wanna boot myself out of my own chat. Yes, it is. It's by Reed Farrell Coleman, and it's called Sleepless City. Sleepless City by Reed Farrell Coleman. It was terrific. So, just a recommendation there. I'll talk about it on my channel. I don't think I've even shown it on my channel. Andrew Russell, so much for burning through comments. I'm a million comments behind. Andrew Russell, do you think that the upcoming Blood Meridian movie will be significantly better than the McCarthy literary masterpiece? No Country for Old Men was far better than the book, in my honest opinion. The movie version of Blood Meridian could not be worse, so it will, of necessity, be better. So, Jason Carmichael, is the Middlemarch TV series worth watching? It has some wonderful bits in it. It has some wonderful, wonderful bits in it. Especially, of course, I'm a huge fan of Robert Hardy. I just think he's incredible, and he's great in the show. They got a wonderful, drippy guy to play Cazabon, and they got a gorgeous and Byron-esque Rufus Sewell to play Will Ladislaw. So there's some really good stuff in there. I'm not sure. It's definitely worth a watch. Absolutely, it's definitely worth a watch. It's beautifully filmed. There's some parts in it that aren't quite as good as others. I Fred Vinci, for instance, I just yeah. There are parts that well, that'd be true with almost any adaptation, but it's definitely worth your time to watch. I wonder if it's on any kind of streaming service. It seems like it'd be prime candidate for that. Declan Steiger, did Micah get any videos of the BPL book sale? It'd be cool to see Steve in his element do it. There is no videos, no, but I took a picture of him outside the library, outside the book sale, sign. I don't know if I posted those pictures anywhere. We didn't take any pictures inside the room, and both of us became pretty quickly irritated by all the noxious dealers that were there scanning books with their apps, so we didn't stay all that long. And then he was, he had already decided that we were gonna part ways. I was gonna come back to Frida, and he was gonna go look at the art museums. Uh, so there's no video of us being there. But it's not it's not my natural element. My element would be a video of the Brattle sale lot, which a lot of you have asked me to do. Take a video of myself in the sale lot and narrate, for instance, one sale cart, book by book. Uh, but anyway, Evil Joshua, how has your fiction been writing been going? Well, it's nice of you to ask. I have this project, this writing project that I'm doing, and that's right. It's not in the writing stage yet; it's in the research stage, but that's a lot. I have to apportion time every day, and yet June on the Range prompted me uh, to start a western. First time I'd ever really write a western. I've written westerns with supernatural elements or science fiction elements, but never just a straight up western. It's right here. It's called "Bury Him Last," and I wrote the first chapter in a blast. It was a wonderful fun to do, and I'm going to continue. I think I will write chapter 2 of "Bury Him Last" tonight. I'm going to make each chapter a thousand words and just go until the story's over. uh, just for the fun of it. I've never done it before, and I really enjoyed it. I think I've got a great idea for a story for what it is. I think I know exactly how I want it to work, and a bunch of characters that have come to mind, including my main character. So it's going well. It's going well, better than I thought it would go. Uh, Andrew Russell is responding to Jenny Parks. Uh, let's see here. Dylan M says you picked up two Nio Marsh novels whilst Micah was there. I was wondering what your estimation of her is. I love her. She's fantastic. She's my favorite detective novelist. Not the greatest, but the most joyous, I think. I I would certainly agree with joyous. I don't. There aren't many that I would put better than her. Maybe Marjorie Allingham, but not many. When she's good, she's really good. I got that one paperback. It was kind of dumb to do because it's just going to sit there. I don't have many others. I got one paperback at the Brattle and one paperback at the book sale, but I don't have the whole shelf of them. I certainly don't have them all uniform, and I should. I should either have them all uniform or I shouldn't have them at all. I have all of them as ebooks, so I don't need to worry about that. Look, Randy Ray is back. Most of these young guys can't grow a beard as righteous as mine. No one can grow a beard as righteous as yours. I succumbed to vanity yesterday and went to the barber to get my hair beard trimmed. Though I smoked cigars for 20 plus years. Well, these guys, it's not voluntary on their part. There's just a checklist of things they have to do, whether they want to or not. The only bro tube grifter, you know, scam artist that doesn't do those things is doesn't do all of them is a Canadian scam artist named Greg O'Gallagher, Kino Body, who very much does not grow facial hair. He does not. He has never experimented with the full beard and mustache. And there's also Ben Shapiro, but I don't think he counts because they will. He's the first person they will kill if they come to power. So I don't think he's embraced by their movement. But he doesn't, of course, grow facial hair either. Uh, let's see here. The Spaminator. I watch your channel because the organization of vaguely malicious semi-villains won't allow me to attend meetings in person anymore. What the hell else am I going to do? Well, a little soul searching might be something that you could do. Aaron, I would love more multi-part breakdowns like yours of the road. Would you be open to suggestions? That's not a bad idea. I've had that call many times, many times. People, those videos are much watched. People watch those videos and then get in touch with me. And I've had many calls saying, you know, you're full of snark and good humor when you're opening mail or when you're on camera or when you're in your videos or whatnot. That was you destroying a book as a professional critic, and it was a joy to watch. And I've heard that from people who love the book and still thought it was a joy to watch. Uh, Janet Wortman is here. Well, hello to the author. Wonderful. Feel free to go one and on about the Tudors. Well, I would with you. We should have a video where we talk about your trilogy and the Tudors just in general. I was thinking about that every time when I'm reading Bring Up the Bodies for the Steve Tiberius Donahue Book Club, and I'm starting to overlap with your period. I'm starting to overlap with your crowd, the Seymours. And when I do, I'm starting to realize there are almost I could swear there are almost lined up moments where if you're going to tell the story of this period in Henry's court, you pretty much have to narrate. You have to make a choice about 2 or 3 dozen possible scenes. It's entirely possible to line up parallelograms between your books and hers. And when I do that in my mind, I automatically start thinking a million questions for you, since I can't ask her anymore, about what the decisions you're making when you do that. What, scene by scene, just the scaffolding behind the scenes. What do I need to do to get the point across? What do I need to dramatize to make sure the reader is on the story? I think it's fascinating. But I could go on and on about there's not a character in Bring Up the Bodies, not the smallest character who is historical, about whom I don't know literally everything there is to know. I know where they were born. I know whose ward they were. I know what money they had and what year in their life. I know where they traveled and when and why. I, I know the date of their death, usually their execution. I know all about them. So these little bit characters that come on board and it's anyway, Randy Ray. I gave up the cigars after the cancer stuff. I still drink copious amounts of coffee though. Ganney Engels, what do you think of Trump skipping Iowa? Good or bad strategy on his part? Uh, I, I hadn't. I have to confess, I haven't really thought about it in strategic terms. I really need to get over it because I need to pay attention to this. Uh, Dispassionately pay attention to it, but I still can't get over the fact that the country is allowing this guy to run for president. He tried to overthrow the United States government. He tried to have his vice president executed. Why are we talking about him as a candidate for office? He's caught on tape 2 different times telling people to fix votes. He does not care about votes. He doesn't care about elections, and he isn't running to be president of the United States. And once if he is by some fluke elected president, it's not going to be president that he's going to be. I just can't. I should be thinking about strategy. I should be thinking about this as a campaign, but I can't get over it. I can't get over the unbelievable mountainous absurdity of the fact that this guy is running for president when he tried to overturn the government. It's Aaron. Oh, and it occurred to me this morning that I'd love a modernism starter kit from you. Do you think you could do one that goes from most to least accessible? I don't. I Modernism seems very dude bro-ish to talk about. I could, I suppose. Uh, Laverne Hodge, thanks, Steve. I have many books on my shelves from your recommendations. Oh, good. The Spaminator. I also started The Metamorphoses by Ovid. Can't believe how much I'm enjoying it, to the point where I'm snapping at people for interrupting me. But don't you do that anyway? Ryan says, Steve, thoughts on Patricia Highsmith and Tom Ripley have fallen in love. Yeah, they're pretty good books. They're pretty good books. They really work. And if you haven't seen, of course, if you haven't seen the movie, you should, because the movie is memorably good. Even though it's got Matt Damon right there in the middle of it, it's still memorably good. Uh, Ryan says, and happy Sunday. Yes, this is Trinity Sunday for the Catholics out there. Matt's bookshelf. Heading to Copenhagen for the first time in a few weeks. I've recently finished Christensen's Havoc and will be reading Tova's Copenhagen trilogy. I'm wondering what your favorite Danish books are. Oh God, I'm sure that I have some. I don't. I don't know that I'm knowing them by nationality. Favorite Danish book. Oh God, I have no idea. I'd need to. That this is a case where I would Google. I would go to Google and type in Danish books just to get some clarification. I'm not always all that sure where an author comes from, and I don't care enough to fix it in my mind. I don't know off the top of my head. But you're going to Copenhagen for the first time. That's amazing. Definitely get your nose out of books while you're there. Uh, James Rucal. Oh wait, you're gone. Wait, I'm gonna get you back. Way away from the end of these comments. We'll blast through some of them. James Rucala. Hi, Steve. What do you think is the best film adaptation of Richard III? I saw Ian McKellen film years ago, but I think we'll be seeing those in uniforms in real life too soon. I don't know of a good filmed adaptation of Richard III. Um, Ryan, you said gaydar about Josh Hawley. Closed mouth wife kissing is odd. Yeah, somebody goes on and on and on. A book about masculinity. Yeah. Anyway, anyway. Also, if somebody's pretty, he's a figure of pure evil on the national political stage. So it's easy to overlook the fact that he's pretty. But anyway, Ryan, also, is Ducks Newburyport worth 1,000 pages? I think so, very much. Yeah. Aaron, that also there's more chaff in the gaydar these days. What with all the queer people in monogamous, hetero, procreative relationships. Yeah. Yeah. It's very much become a lifestyle thing, like a sash that you can put on, to the point of insanity, of course, to the point where it will literally drive you insane and you will love it. You will embrace your insanity. Calling someone insane is, check your privilege. It's bigoted. So Dylan Mulvaney can get on camera in his car and say that he's now attracted to women, even though he is a girl. And when his father found this out, the father said, well, maybe you'll get someone pregnant. And he looks at the camera and says, no, I told my father I'd be the one who get pregnant. Maybe so what started off as a bit to make money, maybe he now believes it. Maybe he literally believes that he is a woman, that he has a womb. Where's the fetus going to gestate? You're going to keep it in a box? Anyway, Malcolm St. John just popping in to say hi. I'll have to catch the replay later. We can't keep you. You're gonna go. The Spaminator. As someone who helped train some hopeful independent pro wrestlers, I can tell you most of the fit men that take those first few falls, learning how to do it right, don't come back the next session. Yeah, yeah. Donald Trump would have exploded like a bomb if he had fallen on stage the way Joe Biden did. The Spaminator. Getting right up after a fall isn't as easy as you think. Oliver Anderson, I don't think anyone who listens to you speak can honestly think you're pretentious. Well, I'm glad to hear that because I hate pretension. No one who loves the Meg as much as you do can be pretentious. Well, I do. I do have a giant shark on my on my June on the Range thumbnail. Declan Steiger still sporting the hoodie. Is June cold so far? When I went to meet Micah on Friday, when he got into Boston, it was brutal. It was 85 degrees with 85 or 90% humidity. It was a hot, beautiful, bright summer day. And overnight, it became autumn. It's chilly. The windows are all closed here. Rain has been lashing down for the last 24 hours. And yeah, I had to break out a hoodie. I almost put them away. I almost put them in a storage closet. I'd be up a creek if I had done that. What are you doing? But anyway, we're blasting through our comments. Oliver Anderson, do you have any D-Day book recommendations? I need a couple of for book research. The Longest Day, and also all of the World War II, the current World War II historians. So Anthony Beaver, Max Hastings, and the one other whose name I'm forgetting. There's a trio of regularly publishing World War II historians now. They've all done books on D-Day. They're all very good. Why am I not remembering his name? Anthony Beaver, uh, Max Hastings, and can somebody help me out here? He just wrote a book on Ardennes. Oh, hey baby, how you doing? You can't help me. You don't read. Uh, let's see here. Taylor Brock. Using Gaydar, can you watch an actor and tell? Would you name some we wouldn't suspect? I can certainly tell. Yes. Declan Steiger, alpha male. Yes. Hashtag Hillary 2024. Well, I'm no fan of the Clintons. I'm no fan of Hillary Clinton. When I thought that before Donald Trump came down the escalator and called all Mexicans rapists, and before I realized that that was actually working, uh, I thought sure that Hillary would win the election. Before Trump seriously entered the campaign, I thought she would certainly win the election. And I was resigned to not 4, but 8 years of endless Clinton scandals because they're incredibly corrupt. They're incredibly corrupt politicians. Um, but even given that, I, if she had become president, I would. Anyway, anyway, Balin 321. Hi, Steve. Aaron, speaking of Atwood, what do you think of? Well, I was trying not to speak of Atwood. What do you think of literary writers slumming in SF and disavowing the label? What was the worst case of this that you've ever seen? Well, you mentioned her name, Margaret Atwood. But there are lots of others. You don't have to look far to find someone doing this. Kurt Vonnegut, forever and ever, used to get all pissy if you said that he wrote science fiction. It just a book called The Sirens of Titan. But yeah, you're too good for that now. I hate the slumming. Absolutely hate it, especially because it almost invariably, in fact, it invariably comes on the heels of a crappy book, of a really really bad example of what they think they're better than. Um, Flora should be reading. Glad to have caught this stream. I was reading Catherine Manfield's journal, and I'm glad to see even a titan like her constantly complain about not having the will or inspiration to write. Yeah, it's all over her. And if you read the journals, the private diaries, lots of writers, it's a frequent refrain. Going all the way back to when we have diaries, it's all over Kafka's diaries. We're just lamenting all the time. I should have written more. Uh, Aaron says, for a crash course in the value of rereading, I recommend The Great Gatsby. Short, so rereads are quick, but you'll definitely notice things each time. Is that directed at someone else? Is that comment responding to someone else? Gandhi Angles, do you recommend Garnett's new book on F. Scott Fitzgerald? Yes. Julie Martin, thank you for the reading of Lord of the Rings you did for us. I enjoyed it a lot, and tell Frida that I admire her taste in humans. She's right here. She's up and about for some reason. She was sound asleep, but now she's going up there. Go on, go on up there. Let your fans see. There you go. Oh, are you stretching, baby? Ooh, ooh. What's the matter? Where are you going? You're coming down here on this side now. Why? There's some Frida yoga for you. What are you doing, baby? What are you doing? Oh, let's get that out of your way. Oh, sorry, you mentioned Frida, and there's all of a sudden Frida drama. Let's see here. Nick Piccarilli, are there any places in Boston you like to show or recommend first-time visitors? Well, I recommend. I don't show anymore as much. I just can't do it. But I recommend all kinds of things. I showed Mike a little bit of Boston Common. I showed him the Shaw Memorial. I showed him, if you're going to go up the hill and show somebody the Shaw Memorial, you can also show them, uh, excuse me, the State House with the gold dome, because all you have to do is turn around and you're looking right at it. It's right there. Uh, excuse me. Uh, Sometimes if I'm feeling game, I will show them a bit of the common and then walk over to the public garden so they can see the swan boats and the lovely water and the trees and whatnot. Of course, the Brattle. I also recommend that they take in the two art museums. The Museum of Fine Arts is incredible, and just a minute away from it is the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum, that is also incredible in a completely different way. So I recommend all of that, absolutely. Um, well, let's see here. Aaron, I'd love a new HBO single season adaptation of Shogun. Needs the edginess that HBO is known for. Netflix would find a way to make it full of neon and quips. I don't I don't agree, I'm afraid. I don't agree at all. The main character in Shogun is not a lesbian black woman. The main character in Shogun is not neurodivergent. The main character in Shogun is the hero. and he's a white heterosexual man. So, and that cannot happen. So, if HBO adapted it, they would change that, and I don't want that to be changed. I'd rather that it not that it just be left alone. I now dread when anything is going to be adapted in any format, uh, because again, the phrase is institutional capture, and that has happened in Hollywood. So, and until Hollywood needs to lose something like $300 trillion. In other words, they need to lose more money than has ever existed in the world, and then someone in those corporations will say, okay, we're going to stop doing this. We're going to stop making this horrible box ticking virtue signaling crap and go back to making movies that people will pay to see because we don't want to lose money. That's the kind of the opposite of being in business. But that hasn't happened yet. That's a long way off from happening. So I wouldn't want to see what they would do with Shogun. Uh, Kevin J. N. Keep in mind, aside from the priests, all of the bad guys in Shogun are Japanese. That is absolutely forbidden. You cannot do that. So, no, no. Kevin J. N., great to see you, Steve, reading the book on Bruno Schultz. Such a depressing read. On the top of the sad news of PAX Panic. Good to see you. Yeah, it's been a rough week for that news was rough. Even though she warned us, even though we knew it was coming, that was still rough. Uh, Tyler, oh wait, I lost you, but I'm going to get you back here. I'm not blasting through the comments. Speaking of HBO series, I wonder what you thought about the newer season of The White Lotus. I didn't watch it. D Temple 54. For many of us, we have been waiting our whole lives for someone to talk to us about our love of books. Well, I'm happy to do it. And unlike a lot of people unfortunately, even a lot of people on BookTube who say they're interested in what you're reading. Hey guys, so tell me, what are you reading? I actually am interested. I actually do have these questions for you. I actually am legitimately interested. Uh, Gagging for Lit. Read Andrew Wilson's biography of Highsmith about a month ago and adored it. Waiting to get the fourth Ripley book from the library. Are you nowhere near a used bookstore? You can't get the Ripley books on your own, or maybe you don't. Maybe you don't accumulate books. Balin 321. Have you ever had the dubious pleasure of meeting Donald Trump, even briefly? No, I've not. But I've been writing about him since the late 80s. Uh, what were your impressions of him before 2015? I hated him. I'm on record. There are many editorials. I don't know where you'd find them now. There must be archived somewhere. Maybe not. Maybe they were all before the internet. But I hated him from the beginning. I hated him. From one of the earliest things that I remember was a New York Housing Council meeting, big crowded room, tables full of people and witnesses, a panel of council members conducting interviews with people, and him talking to them. And the council that he was talking, I don't know if it's caught on tape, but the council that he was talking to gets a look comes over his face like he's watching a gigantic cockroach crawl across the carpet, and just says, "Do you hear yourself? Do you hear how racist you are?" I've hated him from the beginning. I've hated everything about him from the beginning. I had no idea at all. Some of the stories that have been crushed, that have been squashed about him that I know are true would just they would just chill your blood. Some of the things that he has done to for instance, his second wife, uh, the the barest tip of the iceberg of the absolutely Luciferian evil that he did to her was visible to the whole world when he had her buried on his golf course. Uh, Along with, I firmly believe that the Fruit Loop conspiracy theories about all sorts of important stuff that's buried in her coffin with her. I firmly believe that's true. But some of the things that he did to her and to his present wife, that they, I, I hated him before 2015. I just didn't think he was important before 2015. I didn't think that he would bring about the end of the country. Uh, Evil Josu, any advice for diving into the tale of Genji? Finally planning on tackling that white whale on my shelf. Well, yeah, I have a big piece of advice, the one that I always give, which is if you can, if it's at all possible, uh, test out different translations. Now, with Genji, that's probably not all that possible, right? It's because even a really good retail bookstore will probably only have two. So maybe what I should do is make a video to help you, where we compare the first chapter of four different translations of Genji. That's the key thing. You're going to be with this translator for 1,000 pages. So the translator's got to work for you. That's the first step of all. Andrew Salisbury, new subscriber, love the content. Well, isn't that nice? You're a new subscriber and you're here on a Steve stream. And the Steve stream is having the effect that I wanted. It is making me feel a lot less melancholy and pensive now that my guest is gone. Uh, RTL LTR, do unlikely coincidences in fiction ever bother you? Yes. They're not deal breakers, but they do. I'm reading Dracula, and it's filled with them. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Glad you're noticing. All the suitors of Lucy proposed on the same day, and they all know each other. Sayo Jam, hello from Serbia. Good Lord. Hello. Kevin JN, what is a good book to read by Umberto Eco? I've never read any of his work. It, 14 Million Frenchmen can't be wrong. When you're dealing with something like this, if you're dealing with an author and that author has a massive blockbuster hit, start with the blockbuster hit. Start with The Name of the Rose. Uh, and don't let it defeat you. You're going to be reading The Name of the Rose. You're going to think, okay, this is setting up a fairly atmospheric medieval murder mystery, right down to having a Sherlock Holmes stand in character. And then a little ways into the book, the the narration moves to a stone carved doorway arch, and that the description of that arch goes on for I think 300 pages. Don't let that defeat you. There's actually a story beyond that description. I've had so many people that is the make or break moment in Name of the Rose. Just power on through it. Uh, Aaron, most people who accuse others of don't know what pretentious means. Yes. Andrew Salisbury says Stephen Ambrose. Oh, is that in reference to no, it's not Stephen Ambrose. No, it's a trio of working historians. It's driving me crazy. I can't remember the third guy's name. It's Anthony Beaver, it's Max Hastings. Where's David Murphy when I need him? He would know. He has all the guy's books just like I do. I reviewed his last book for the Christian Science Monitor, and I cannot remember his name. Uh, he just did a book on A Bridge Too Far. He just did a book oh well, that's not coming to me, but it's not Stephen Ambrose. No, Declan says if Trump were to uh, take a sandbag tomorrow, what would happen to his far right base? Take a sandbag? You mean if he tripped like Biden did? If he tripped over a sandbag, he'd be out for weeks if that happened to him, and it would be on video. So the world, it doesn't matter to Trump cult. They're not seeing. They don't think he's human. They know what they believe. He is a god to them. So no amount of evidence, no amount of video, nothing will change that. He is a god to them. He has replaced Jesus Christ. He is their new Messiah. But everyone else in the world would see what he looks like when he doesn't look the way you always see him. A picture went viral just a couple of days ago of him looking kind of old and spent on his golf course. But even that look is the product of at least an hour and 15 minutes every morning. And if he fell, that would be obvious. That the anyway. The Spaminator. Oh, I forgot. But in answer, Declan, in answer to your underlying question of what would happen if Trump were gone, Trump is not going to be gone. He's going to die in his bed in 2047, and that bed is going to be in the White House residence. But even if it isn't in the White House residence, he's going to live to be into to 2047. That's a long time from now. So he's not going anywhere. But if he did, I firmly believe that probably 90% of the Trump cult would gradually deprogram and eventually come to a point where they either don't talk about it or where they deny that they ever were in it. It's exactly like the cult of Hitler. You have to look at the 60 million Germans that enthusiastically supported Nazism. There's a huge amount of freight there, and when it was all over and they all had to go back to being people in the world, uh, they accommodated. They found a way to make it work. Uh, the Spaminator. Oh, I forgot. I read Meg too. I loved it, but what the hell? I just kept ratcheting up the crazy. Yes, it just keeps ratcheting up the crazy. That end had me laughing out loud. Yes, yes. The ending is the the ultimate triumph of Jonas is in a way foreshadowed right at the beginning of the book, but you just don't believe the author's going to have the cobbles to do it, and then he does. uh, Oscar Mendoza. This past year, I returned to school after 10 years away. I'm doing very well, but I still feel insecure. Are there any books you could recommend on learning or the science of learning? No, no, not at all. I don't think you need them, but I don't have any to recommend. Boulez Orion, the other D-Day book is by Peter Caddick Adams. No, it's not Peter Caddick Adams. He's fantastic. He's fantastic. and his book on D-Day is really good, but he's not the one I'm thinking of. It's just not coming to me. It's just not coming to me. I know them as a trio. They're regular, they're reliable, and it's just not coming to me. It's Anthony Beaver, it's Max Hastings, and it's one other guy. I can see in my mind the cover of his last book. I reviewed it for the Christian Science Monitor, and it's just not coming. It's just, Frida, will you cut it out, baby? Good Lord. What's the matter, little girl? She got ants in her pants. Maybe just to go outside, but it's pouring rain. She's not going to want to go out there. Uh, Declan says Frank McDonough for World War II. Gandhi angles. I don't think Michelle Obama would throw her hat in the ring, but I think it would be interesting if she did. She's not kidding when she says she hates politics. I'd be surprised if she did. Uh, Balin321, you said you disliked Succession. Why? Look at what Succession is. You are supposed to want to be these people, even though they are horrible and miserable. And the only reason you're supposed to want to be them is because they're rich. Succession is an homage to Donald Trump, whether it admits it or not, whether it calls itself a satire of Trump or not. It is the very well made, very well scripted, very well acted fever expression of Trumpism, of Trump cult. All the people that are in Trump cult want to be him. They want to live, eat their meals off gold lame plates and have gold lids on their toilets. They, even if it makes them miserable, I don't think many people in Trump cult are under any kind of illusion that Trump is a happy person. He's not. He's a miserable person, and they are the implicit trade off in Trump cult is, well, if I can be a super rich a hole alpha dog, then it's worth sacrificing happiness. And that's exactly the message of Succession. Apart from all the plot lines, you're supposed to want to be these people, even though they are horrible and miserable because of money. And I don't think anyone should. And I don't like it. I don't like what it is shilling for. Uh, Aaron, Harlan Ellison said he loathes writers who said they don't. What? Oh, you're gone. No, you're not. I'm going to get you back. Uh, we're going to get to the end of this. That's what we're going to do. We're going to wrap this up at 10 past the hour. Said he loathed writers who said they don't like writing, but like having written. One wonders if he would have understood had he written something with a six-figure word count. Uh, well, it was a rare instance where I would agree with that sentiment. I love the act of writing. That first chapter that I wrote of Bury Him Last, I loved the feeling of doing it. But maybe that's just an experience thing. If you haven't done a lot of it, you might consider it really awful. Uh, John Gabriel Borkman, are you familiar with Better Than Food booktuber? I used to like him, but his fascination with Mishima is a little much. I am familiar with his channel. Yes. Blue Laser Ryan, Better Than Food is the definition of pretentious. I don't want to make any enemies. I would tend to agree with you. There is a very good. It's like an old friend. Some of you would probably notice this too, but an old friend of mine used to say years and years ago to people here in over wine and calzones used to say, Steve talks. He lets you know his opinions. He's very forthright on all that he thinks. You should really pay attention to what he doesn't talk about. Is there something that seems squarely in his bullseye that is studiously never mentioned? That's an opinion. I I hemmed and hawed. I protested and I protested too much, but I have never mentioned his channel on my channel. That might be a comment. I do not disagree with Blue Laser Ryan. Aaron, touche, Steve. HBO could have done Shogun before Game of Thrones, not now. I don't think they could do it now. They have been institutionally captured. Several of the bad guys in Shogun are Japanese. One of them is a sadomasochistic monster who likes to torture people for fun. That cannot happen. That cannot be done. According to the racism that rules the world today, that cannot happen. That rules Hollywood today, that cannot be. So there'd be no way to do it. And the main character in Shogun absolutely cannot happen. Absolutely not. No, there's nothing about it that could be filmed today. With Spaminator, Tales from the Crypt is the greatest HBO series of all time. Fight me. Uh, no and no. Gagging for Lit. My library has the first and second editions of the Ripley series, so I love getting it from there. Yes, I do collect books, but too many have been trying to save money at the moment. Understandable. Uh, I just wondered, that's all, what your book situation is like. Gandhi Angles is responding to gagging for look. Good to know. I have Richard Bamford's biography of Highsmith. Just watched the documentary Loving Highsmith. Kevin JN, excessive detail did a very thoughtful reply to your rootin' tootin' June on the range tag. Interesting to see how your tags provoke interesting replies. Excessive detail. I don't know that channel. I don't think I know that channel. Boy, so people have been doing this tag? I uh I will have to find that channel and see. Um, but anyway, we're gonna blast through these comments. Gandhi Angles, the scary thing with Trump is that if he pulls the undecided voters to his side, saw him on with Hannity, and he wasn't whining about himself as much as usual. You must have seen a Hannity interview that I didn't see. All he ever does is whine about himself. But the key is that he is obviously not running for president. He does not care about votes. He does not think the election is real. He is not willing to abide by the results. This is now the third national election where he has said, I will only abide by the results if I win. That is anti-democratic. That is anti-American. And he tried to violently overthrow the government. He tried to have his vice president executed. He shouldn't be in the race. And anyway, Alexis Kiri. Ivana Trump was his first wife. Marla was the second. Melania is the third. I get them all. I get the bad dye jobs mixed up. Yuri, not Ure. Hi, Steve. Thanks for the stream. What are your top 5 epistolary novels of all time? Not for a Steve stream. It's not. And which translation of Dangerous Liaisons is better, Thomas More's or Richard Addington? Do do you reread it? I do not reread it, and I didn't notice much of a difference between those two. Uh, let's see here. Blue Laser Ryan. Wait, oh, where'd you go? I wasn't aware of Trump before 2015, apart from seeing his tower when driving through Vegas and the reference to him on The Office. I wish it would have stayed that way. Yeah, yeah. Tyler, oop, I'm afraid you've already done that by that comparison in a Genji video. Did I? Four translations? Okay. But we'd love another video of one of your favorite books. Gandhi Angles, I think Succession is based more on Rupert Murdoch. That's what the media says. That's what all the pieces in the New Yorker and what else say about it. It's out there in the world. I don't care what the showrunner says it was based on. I care with what I'm seeing. And what I see is, and ultimately, it doesn't matter which soulless billionaire family you're talking about. What matters is what is being celebrated. What is it telling the reader to want? Really, really good shows don't tell the reader to want anything, but you can still have a good show that does. But what is Succession telling the reader to want? I think it's pretty clear and it's noxious. I just, I'm happy for the actors, all of them. But anyway, Blue Laser Ryan, Alex Kershaw. No, it's not Alex Kershaw. It's driving me nuts, but I'm never. If it's not going to come, then it's not going to come. So I will have to figure it out. It's not Alex Kershaw. No, it's just not there. It's very rare that it happens, but it's just not there. Um, Yuri, not Yuri. Steve, do you like Nancy Mitford's novels? I do. Which is the best in your opinion? Uh, uh, Some Tame Gazelle, I think, is the one I like the most. But it's been a while since I did a systematic reread of them. What do you think of the other Mitford or Mosley girls as writers? A lot of them are really good. Uh, th- uh, Jessica Mitford's books are terrific. What book on the Mitford sisters would you recommend? I would actually recommend. There was a big fat collection of their letters. It was really well annotated, good introduction. So, and then you get them. Then you get their own voices. They're by far their best chroniclers. Uh, John Gabriel Borkman, have you ever met the Count of Saint Germain in your travels? Jared Henderson is here. Writing is painful to begin, but once I'm in the act of it, is a joy. I just need to suffer through the first few paragraphs. I agree. It's a joy. Uh, Erica Alonso, what is your favorite movie? The Lion in Winter. Uh, Anodyne. Are we at the end of the comments? No, we're not. Okay, we'll get there. We'll blast through here until the 10 past the hour. Uh, Anodyne, Jeffrey Powers, Andrew Roberts. No, 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 it's not. Andrew Roberts doesn't stick to World War II. It's not either one of those. Ryan, John Le Carre, your favorite espionage. I'm My favorite espionage novels. Is that what you mean? Is John Le Carre with a question mark mean what do I think of him? I really like him, and he would probably be my favorite espionage writer. Colo 1546. I encountered your channel a few years ago via your video on how to deal with book mildew. Outraged at your treatment of that poor book, I started watching your other videos and haven't stopped since. uh, William Jameson says John Keegan. No, it's not a dead historian. It's a living historian. It's just not coming. It's just not coming. And the way these things work are, it's not coming to my mind, even though I can call up a million details about books at any time. And the way these things work are, if it's not coming to me, none of you are going to get it. But I don't, I don't know why that works, but I'm just going to not let it obsess me. Balin 321, DeSantis running baffles me. TBH. This is not Twitter. You can write out honestly. Uh, he could wait 4 years and hope Biden wins, and then he doesn't have to run against either Trump or an incumbent. Only reason I can think of is the Trump vice presidency. There's no chance of Trump vice presidency, none at all. That job is already spoken for. View from the bar is here. Steve, not sure I've heard your take on Stieg Larsson. What do you think of the Millennium Trilogy? I didn't really like it all that much, and I am perfectly willing to sidle up close to conspiracy theories about his death. I'm perfectly willing to do that. Leo Burkhardt, Timothy Snyder, nope. Uh, Gandhi Angle's favorite Le Carre book is The Constant Gardener. Yeah, I didn't particularly go for The Constant Gardener. I love A Perfect Spy. I think it's terrific, and I just reread The Spy Who Came In From the Cold. It's doing a lot more than I remembered. Terrific little book. James Rucala, Theodore Momsen. We're just naming historians. Yeah, everyone's just naming historians. And like I said, the way this works is that because of this, no one will name the person I'm thinking of. So it doesn't. You can name all the historians that you want going back to Herodotus. It's not going to happen. Uh, uh, Kevin J.N. is it Richard B. Morris or Henry Steele Common? No, it's a living historian. It's a living historian, and no one's going to get it. You're not going to get it, so it doesn't matter. View from the bar. Just found a cheap, beautiful Kari Mora cover. How is that book sitting with you 4 or 5 years later? I We should have a talk about it. I'd love to talk about it with you. It's very much an Alex book. It's brilliant, but one of the big problems that I had with it when I first read it is still bothering me, and that is just this persistent necrotic fascination with the brutalization of women. It I just do not believe that that is confined to just the bad guy customizing women in that book. It just doesn't feel that way to me. I don't know anything about Thomas Harris, but it feels like a personal kink. It felt like I was reading a personal kink of the author, not just the bad guy. It just I loved it. I loved a lot of it, but uh, Jared Henderson, who won the fight, Le Carre or Rushdie? What fight? Did those two ever fight? They never fought. Salman Rushdie talked a good game, but he never actually raised a fist to anybody, as far as I know. Ryan says Trump will run as an independent if he loses the primary. I don't know why he's being in the primary. I don't know why we're talking about this. He should be in jail or against a firing squad. There is no black and white. There is no politics in what he did. It has nothing to do with politics. He tried to overthrow the country. He shouldn't. Uh, I don't have much hope that he will lose the primary. Uh, Aaron got pulled in by a Western Cannon starter kit. Oh, well, that's nice. Declan says James Holland for the win. Nope. Richard Overy. Nope. 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 Leo Picard retracted the message. View from the bar. I was going to ask about your take on his death. I was afraid you'd say, well, as a 9-pack a day nicotine addict, I'll tell you who killed him. It's entirely possible that I might. I was such a burden to the young men that I know. You need to come for a visit, young man, so you can hear all of these extremely predictable takes in real time. uh, the Spaminator, the Western Cannon starter kit, is also high five the channel. Alan Black says, "Hi, Steve. Quick opinions on a current state of British politics. I'm reading Homer for the first time this year. Can't wait." Uh, but quick opinions. The political situation in Britain is unbelievably complex and is on a knife edge, I think. So I don't have any quick opinions on it. Yuri Not Yuri says Sean McMeekin. Nope. Nope. James, he just wrote a book on Arnhem. Surely one of you has Google. I'm not going to get booted off my own live stream. Just a few years ago, he wrote a book on Arnhem. Surely that will do it. Maybe not. Uh, let's see here. James Ricardo, Western Canada Starter Kit is great. I have a secret text file. of my bets on who'll be on your volume two. I really need to do volume two. The year is half over. I keep saying this. I really need to do it. Balaam 221, why would DeSantis run then? Who do you think will be the Trump VP? The Trump VP will be Marjorie Taylor Greene. And DeSantis will run because he is running for the job that Donald Trump is running for. And it's not president. It's not president. DeSantis is running because he wants to be president as he is governor. The way he is governor. He's a fascist governor. There is no free will. There is no free government in Florida. He wants to do that on the national level. When he says, I want to do to the country what I did to Florida, he's speaking the God's honest truth. Uh, that's why he wants to run. And that's why he changed the legislation so that he doesn't have to lose his job as governor while he runs for president. Uh, and that's also why he doesn't care about likability. That's why he doesn't care about his personal skills or his image, because he doesn't plan on being a voluntary president. He doesn't plan on the people's liking or disliking him having anything to do with him staying in power. He sees a possible future that we saw on January 6th. And that's the future he's running towards. He's not running towards, Ronald Reagan or George W. Bush or whatever. Uh, Anthony Beaver is alive, and he is one of the two that I can name. I can name Max Hastings and Anthony Beaver. The Spaminator, speaking of, how about that sophomore year Western Campus started? Yes, I should do it. Here, hold on just a second. Frida, I'm going to put you on the floor. Okay? Down you go. You're going to go down on the floor. There you go. All right. Let's see here. Uh, uh, William Buckingham. Lou G. I have no clue who the other World War II author is, but I've added Anthony Beaver's World War II book to my list. It looks amazing. His book is amazing. It is. He's really good. Aaron says, perhaps you could do a modernism starter kit as a lure for deprogramming dude bros. Uh, uh, Blue Laser Ryan says, William Buckingham. Nope. Nope. Tyler, for someone who barely follows the news, I completely agree about the knife edge politics in the UK. I'm visiting now and things feel very weird. That is the way. That is the way that I would describe it. There's a feel to it. This is not a staying pattern at all. And it's also not uh, the feeling that you get in America where it's two paths diverging and which are you going to do? But each path has a long history and it extends all the way to the horizon. The current state of British politics doesn't feel like that at all. It feels like it could explode, like something genuinely unpredictable could happen. Really, really weird. A feeling in the air that I wouldn't want to be there for it at all. Uh, let's see here. View from the Bar is back. There is a single interview with Thomas Harris on YouTube. Recent, 50 minutes long. He's very aw shucks and soft spoken, very soft spoken man. Yeah, and sweet. Cites more poets than novelists. I didn't know what to make of it. Yeah, he's a very, very sweet man, very loyal friend. I'm not really trying to psychoanalyze him. I'm just saying that element in Karimura, it just it didn't strike me as arising from the construction of that villain. Not completely. It struck me as arising in part from that and in part from the author, which I think would account for the fact uh, that it's not presented with unambiguous revulsion. You are definitely supposed to think there's something kind of cool about how thoroughly, brutally, misogynistically evil the villain is. You're clearly supposed to think there's something kind of cool about that, and there isn't. And the only person who would think there is someone who has those predilections. Uh, Gandhi Angles, Cornelius Ryan is dead. No, Andrew Roberts dead. We are not going to get it, is what I'm trying to say. You're all coming up with names, but the way this works is that if I can't recall the name, it's not going to come up. It's just not going to happen. That's all. So you should stop coming up with names. It's just not going to happen. But you will. You will keep doing it. Let's see here. Uh, let's see. Oh, wait. Where are we going here? Aaron, I imagine Dude Bro affinity for modernism is directly related to the Dude Bro-ness of the authors, but why are so many modernist authors Dude Bros? Well, the Dude Bro affinity for modernism, I'm sorry for the shaky cam. I don't know what's wrong with Frida. And I very seldom say that. She is ordinarily clear as a bell. I don't know what's wrong with her. But anyway, where was I? Oh, right. The Dude Bro affinity for uh, modernist authors has nothing to do with literature, of course. These people don't read. It has to do with the fact that it strikes them as an alternative to reading. It strikes them as getting high. It strikes them as This is not my dad's literature. This is, dad is a big issue. I've got dodgy issues with my dad, and he liked Theodore Dreiser and whatnot. So this is the kind of thing that will cheese him off. So I like it for that reason. Uh, Declan says Normandy 44 by James Holland. It's a pretty good book. Kevin L says Charles Whiting. RTL LTR says Urquhart. Aaron says the historian Steve can't recall is himself and the book he wrote in secret. Andrew Salisbury says, in lieu of his recent passing, your thoughts on Martin Amis as a novelist? I've never liked him as a novelist at all. But oh boy, I have been in so many email exchanges with people about him since he died. So many more than I expected. So many more. And also, none of them insufferable. I expected that I would get only a few, and I expected that the people who would reach out to me would be insufferable about him. And instead, they haven't been. It's been immensely touching to see how personal this loss is for so many readers. I will I will boost him up on the list that I always keep of authors that I'm going to revisit, but I paid really close attention to him with every book, and the novels did nothing for me at all. Uh, Nonfiction, I really liked, and I've reread a chunk of it in the last week. Uh, let's see here. Auntie Gaia says, Steve, do you recommend The Namesake by John Lahiri? I do. Anna, what? Oh, wait, where'd we go? Anna O'Dine says Ian Valentine. RTL LTR says Buckingham. Nowhere Boy, I am English. Unlike 1997, when Labour won a stonking victory on a wave of genuine hopeful feeling, there's definitely a feeling of restlessness bubbling underneath British politics at the moment. Okay, first, I love stonking and I want to use it. And second, yeah, bubbling underneath is a good way to put it. That's what the feeling is, that whatever this is, none of it is going to hold. None of what you're looking at, none of the people, none of the dramatis personae are going to be in their current jobs in a year, 2 years at the max. None of it feels real. It feels like it's being improvised day by day with so many horrible bad faith actors. It feels different from America. America's on a precipice, and what will happen after that precipice is easy to see in either direction. With UK politics right now, no, no, not at all. Nowhere Boy, Labour will win, but it won't be win most are that happy about. View from the Bar. Also, didn't know what I was referring to in the last live stream when I asked about Prigozhin. He's the Bond leader villain of the Wagner mercenary group, a speculative Putin challenger. Yeah, the name's still not ringing a bell. You'll have to bring me up to speed. The name's still not ringing a bell. Maybe I'm just not paying enough attention to the right kind of story. Uh, Nowhere Boy is addressing Andrew Salisbury. I really liked Inside Story. Balin 321. I visited the UK last month. The feeling I got was a feeling of dissolution, of a corpse dissolving, of a corpse dissolving. Did visit the Dr. Johnson house, which was fun. That's great. That's a great way to put it. And I wonder, I've sometimes wondered maybe that it's an illusion on my part until now, until this live stream where I'm seeing that other people are seeing what I'm talking about. Until then, I was halfway willing to think that maybe I was imagining things because it feels surreal that the Queen is gone. That feels surreal. That it tends to make everything. But this felt that way before that. So, yeah, yeah, a corpse dissolving. Oh, that's bad. That's chilling. Gandhi Angles. I thought you said the author wrote A Bridge Too Far. No, no. The third author that I'm thinking of that I'm not going to remember, that none of you are going to get, did not write A Bridge Too Far. He wrote a book on that subject. He wrote a different history of the same subject. Uh, you should think would make it easy to find, but it's not going to happen. Uh, Jack, the second he's off stream, he'll remember the name just as the way of things. Yes, that's the third thing. One, I can't remember it now, and I'm absolutely not going to remember it now. Two, none of you are going to get it. You're all the way back to Herodotus now. You're not going to get it. And the third thing is that as soon as I stop the recording, I will remember the name, or I'll go over to my shelf and just find the copy of the book that I reviewed for the Christian Science Moment in, I think, 2016, 2017. Anyway, Francisco, me again, talking about villains. Who do you think is the absolute most vile, evil, bad villain that you've encountered in fiction, science fiction, or comics? The villainest of them all. I have no idea. No idea at all. Um, Wait, where'd you go? Gandhi says, "What do you think will happen to Prince Harry? Will he and Meghan go to the route of Edward and Wallace?" Uh, well, to the limited extent, they already have, but they're lost, absolutely lost. This The gossip that has been going around lately that people have spotted Harry consulting a divorce lawyer, I think it's just fantasy. I think that's just fantasy. So they'll just stay, you know, sun, surf, and tan quasi weird celebrities for the rest of their lives, unless that's what you meant by Edward and Wallace. They won't betray the country to Nazis, but they'll just be these weird kind of celebrities. I would assume they will. The Spaminator. What's with the dude bro obsession with Dostoevsky? I love Dostoevsky. Don't see the connection in any of his works to the dude bro thing. Don't you? Don't you really? Think about it. What's missing from Tolstoy novels, from Dostoevsky novels? Not missing literally, not completely missing, but what's effectively missing from the big novels that the dude bros know and love? Women. Women are completely missing. They are, even when they're there, they are nothing. They're scraps. They're nothing. But they're mostly completely missing. Even when they're present, they're missing. They're certainly not humans the way all of Dostoevsky's other characters are. I think that goes a long way. It goes a long way. It feels like home to them. Aaron, so you are open to suggestions for more multi-part takedowns like The Road. How about The Passage? No, 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 no. Not Just a Crown. Harvard 84. No, not The Passage. Nowhere Boy. Steve, have you read Milan Kundera? 1 hour and 45 minutes. I was feeling great. My spirits were revived. I was no longer feeling mopey that my guest had left. And at 1 hour and 45 minutes, I got a have you read question. And it's a have you read question of one of the most popular novelists of the 20th century. Well, it was too good to last. Yuri, not Ure. It's amazing how many books on Arnhem have come out recently. This is Steve and the Spaminator. I'm still not entirely clear on what qualifies one as a dude bro. I've done a video. You need only call it up, The Seven Sins of Dude Bro Lit, and you will know all about it. That I did a video exactly on that, what it is and how you can tell it, how you can spot it when you see it. Simply call up, simply type in Steve Donahue, Seven Sins Dude Bro Lit, and watch to your heart's content. Take as many notes as you want. Let's see here. What do you think of the YouTube channel Baggage Claim and her analysis of Megan? It's good. It's pretty good. I try to sort of stay away from those kinds of channels, but that if it's a channel that I'm thinking of, it worked on me. I liked it. Nowhere Boy, Gogol is greater than Dostoevsky. Oh, so Nowhere Boy is drinking. Well, pour one out for the rest of us. That'd be great. Or that, or Nowhere Boy has just had a traumatic head injury of some kind. James Ricala, one of Dostoevsky's books has bro right in the title. Aaron almost made it. Milan Kundera, almost. We almost 1 hour and 45 minutes to have you read question. And of course, if you're going to, the longer you wait in a Steve stream for a have you read question, the more obvious the answer is going to be. So if we'd waited 2 hours, it would have been James Mishner or something like that. Balin 321. I stayed at a host family when I was younger in Birmingham for 2 months. When I visited the city, I was just appalled, just sad. London is still somewhat okay, but outside London, it is just sad. I hear this from a lot of people. I have an old friend who lives in Leeds. I have a couple of friends who live just outside of Manchester, and they report the same thing. So it's not your imagination. Uh, Jack, weightlifting and a lack of introspection. Oh, well, if you're talking about what makes a person a dude, bro, they're largely the same thing as the seven sins in the video. Rampant misogyny, rampant sexism, very simple view of the world in which you are some sort of embattled warrior. Weightlifting is often up there. Lack of introspection, but lack of introspection while all the time thinking that no one introspects more than you do. Just there's a whole suite of things. Uh, Aaron says that's dude bro lit. What about the individuals? Well, yeah, good point. The individuals have, like I mentioned earlier in this interminable Steve stream, they have a checklist of things that they have to do, that they have to be, and they don't have a choice about it. There is no if you express individual, all individuality is gay. So if you express individuality, you can't be a dude bro. You're kicked out. So there's a slight variation. You can maybe pass on the Matt Walsh style bushy facial beard. you can maybe do that. It's not encouraged, but there are a couple of dude bro scammers, Greg O'Gallagher for one, for instance, that don't do that. Uh, but most of it's non-negotiable, and it's a lot like that. It's an obsession with caveman personal relationships. It's of course the root of it is the root of fascism, which is that they're looking to a lost golden age. All dude bros think that once upon a time they strode across the land, women ran out of their way, beta male cucks ran out of their way, and they basically grabbed what they wanted. That golden age never existed, and so their longing for it is to justify the horrible ways they act now in the present. Uh, Tyler says, "Oh no, something to get Steve's moods up quick. Oreos, rice cookers, Frida, Star Trek." No, my mood is fine. My mood is fine. Into every life, a little "Have you read?" question must fall. Uh, uh, Alan Black says, "Going to see the new Spider-Man film tomorrow. Love the first in Spider-Verse series. Will you be getting a screener?" Will I be getting a screener? Alan Black has clearly not been paying attention to Steve Stream's past. I got a screener a while ago, and I have watched it a million times. I have watched it about a not a million times. I haven't watched it as many times as I watched the screener to 65, but I've watched it a lot of times. It is beautiful. It is absolutely incredible. It is absolutely incredible. There's one thing in it, one character in it that was just a stereotype of the kind of thing that Hollywood now has to do in every movie. Just a complete stereotype of, never mind this with great power and great responsibility. I think it's fun. It's really great. I can toss whole planets around without any trouble at all. If a massive, really impressive villain comes up and just punch him, just once. It's you guys actually found this trouble. Well, you're men after all. What I really like to do is eat and talk about eating. But that was just confined to that one character. The rest of it, oh, the rest of it is it's not nothing will ever quite uh, simulate the new world awesomeness of the first one, but still, you're gonna love it. Balin 321, have you read The Room? Have you read The Room? This won't age well. The Spaminator, in my mind, dude, bro, is fake masculinity. At least that's the impression I get. They would never believe it's fake. They think they are the last embattled standard bearers of masculinity. Kevin L, one last try, Martin Middlebrook. Do you think I would forget a name like Martin Middlebrook? Honestly, do you think I would? Uh, Jenny Parks, now that we've had a "Have you read?" question and a dude bro discussion, that just leaves Jack Edwards. Oh, poor little Jack Edwards. No, but we don't want to waste more time on the greatest hits. Although the greatest hits make me feel great. This has been like having all of you over here to chat, and that is Jack. This is exactly what I wanted. Francisco, have you read questions are not to be asked toward the end of the Steve stream. I think this might be rule number two. Well, you can't avoid them. Milan Kundera, that's a big one. That's a big one. It's not quite, ever heard of this guy John Cheever, but it's pretty bad. Uh, uh, because I was writing about Milan Kundera before the asker of the "Have you read?" question had been born. That's just, but anyway, it's like somebody said much earlier in this interminable Steve stream. That kind of person that you're meeting here on the screen is rare, even on BookTube. So it's understandable that someone would not expect it. Uh, let's see here. Jenny Parks, I thought rule number two was Steve is always right. Balin 321, dude bro personalities reflected in tattoos. You can read their life story in their tattoos in the same way you read Norse carvings. And often the tattoos are Norse carvings. Alan Black is responding to Jenny Parks. Don't forget Lord of the Rings of Power. I'd like to. Uh, the Spaminator. It's the brothers Karamazov, not the Karamazov brothers. I'm ashamed of you people, which is pretty amazing considering I have no shame. Uh, well, the Oxford World Classics translation has it as the Karamazov brothers. Just to be contrary, they had it that way. They're driving you crazy. Uh, Aaron, I lift, have a beard, quit smoking at 19, love Raymond Chandler, but the majority of my friends are female. My best friend is a lesbian, and one of my closest friends is my ex. Dude, bro, no, no, not at all. In fact, you're so far away from being a dude, bro, that two of them are probably on their way to your door right now. No, you are not. No. Uh, Alan Black, sorry I've not been able to catch recent streams. Well, yeah, you missed the one where I talk directly about the subject. Lou G, thought number 2 was eyes on the prize. Francisco's putting cartoons up. Oh, we have the view from the bar. Random, upsetting. What's your relationship with the inevitable cell phone footage that leaks from mass shootings? Other than catastrophes, you seem like a watchdog. Do you steer clear? Do you seek them out? I don't steer clear. I don't think anyone should. If we're not going to spend time picketing, if we're not going to make sure that we're electing sane people, then the price we should pay for that kind of indolence is to watch the results of our indifference. So I don't seek it out, but I don't have to. That's how sick this country is. I don't have to seek it out to see it, but I absolutely watch it. Yes, not in a horrible way, except that it is horrible, but because that's the price. That's the price that we should all pay. Everyone should watch. It shouldn't ever be in the background until we change it. Uh, Aaron says it's Douglas Murray. Douglas Murray hasn't been a historian in a long time, not since his Irish book. Uh, Nowhere Boy is a spamming here. It's the lads Karamazov. I like that. I would actually read that. Uh, Declan says there was a booktube channel I have watched. What turned me off of her was the more regular of negativity about old dead white guy authors. I get it. She is cultivating a certain viewership. I agree. There's one particular booktube channel that the person who makes the videos, I think is wonderful. And I unsubscribed quietly, make any big deal of it for exactly that reason. If you're going in the middle of a conversation about books, if you're just going to randomly say a racist thing about anybody, I don't actually care what the skin color is or the gender or the sex or the nationality. If you're just going to randomly say that because you know that most of your audience is the same kind of bigot you are, I don't want to see it. I'm just not going to see it, no matter how nice you are. Uh, Aaron, why a view from the far? Oh, well, I understand Alex's question. And I like it. He doesn't ever ask bad questions. He's a sharp cookie. Declan Brian Kilmeade. uh, Mary Schneider. Do you know the woman who has or had the channel Passage of Time? She seems very smart and serious Tudor fan. I don't know Passage of Time. And what was that other one? What was the other one? There was another channel. I didn't write it down. And now I don't know if you can tell, but the bean is on top of my arm. I now literally cannot type anything. So I don't remember. I'll have to check the comments when the video goes up to see. This is a booktube channel out there that did my Root and Tootin' June on the Range tag. I'd like to watch it. But I don't know Passage of Time, no. Brothers Karamazov and zombies. Yeah, the zombies are the women. Balin 321, the footage from the Nashville shooting was just so incredibly sad. The little corpses. Yeah. Uh, Aaron, there is probably out of print book called Dead White Men. It's a letter to his daughter of what to read and why. Uh, yeah, and also Bernard Knox did a book, The Oldest Dead White, uh, something like that, Dead White Writers or something like that. But uh, let's see here. RTL LTR is My Name is Red worth the hype? Very much so. Very much so. Oh my God, what a book. I'm long overdue for a reread. Jenny Parks, I've read a few Douglas Murray books and can't figure out exactly how I feel other than confused. Mostly I've conflicted on whether I agree or not about some of his statements. Right, right. And I bet some of the confusion comes not from the books exclusively, but from the way he has become a pinata for both sides of the culture war. So people on the alt left will say that he is literally as bad as Hitler. People on the alt right embrace him in ways that I bet he finds very uncomfortable. He writes genuinely thought provoking books. So your reaction is probably the best. It's probably the healthiest one. Is what is this? What do I really think of this? Let's just sit down with the book and figure out if we can strain out his cranky old opinions from the points that he's making. Is he making legitimate points about immigration, for instance, his big hobby horse? Is he making legitimate points about that? Is if he is, he's the canary in the coal mine. He's a bellwether of what's coming because what we're going to see in the next 20 years is massive amounts of immigration for climate reasons. So if we ought to figure out what we think about it one way or another. And also, I happen to think he's a wonderful writer. Not always, I don't always get the impression he's a wonderful person, but I think he's a wonderful writer. But boy, oh boy, you in certain literary circles on, like for instance, Twitter, if you were going to do that, I don't advise it. Just dropping his name is enough to set off. Yeah, it's confusing. Yeah. Lou G, Excessive Details. That's right. Is the YouTube channel who did. I'm never gonna remember that. I'll have to find it in the comments because I've got the bean is asleep on my arm, so I can't move it. Aaron, seriously, I would love to read along of Book of the New Sun. Would you? No way. No way. Sorry. I'd love to do it. But that would bring me squarely into the sights of Dubrow readers in the sci-fi scene. I no, there's no way at all. The last thing I want is to do a read along of a series of books, or even the first book that elicits in the comments field 50 comments that start with "Well, actually." One of those comments a year is too much for me. Having 50 of them in the comments field, no, no. Balin 321 is responding to Jenny Parks. I read The Strange Death of Europe, didn't like it. My roommate back then talked about The Great Replacement all the time, and I didn't need it in book form. But is The Strange Death of Europe the Great Replacement theory in book form? I would argue that that's selling the book short and being too easy on it. I would argue that calling it that is the kind of thing the alt left routinely says about Douglas Murray. I'm not saying that it's any less invalid, but that's the kind of thing that makes him so radioactive. Uh, but anyway, view from the bar. Have you gotten to the S.A. Crosby June release yet? I thought it was so unreadable I couldn't make it past page 150. S.A. Crosby. I have it, right? I have not got to it. No. It's sitting on that shelf over there. I didn't do the parade of the books when Micah was here, but I will do it when Sam comes over. And I don't think I have. It's not resonating with me, or I'd be jumping all over it. But you thought it was bad. You thought it was unreadable. That's interesting. That's not good news for the book. Golem Oadib. Hi Steve. Hope you had a great weekend. I had a great weekend. I had a guest. Mike Cummins flew up to visit, and it was wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. Kevin JN, can't wait for Isaacson's book on Elon Musk. We'll see. We'll see. It can go one of two ways. It can go one of two ways, and you'll know right away. You'll know by the end of the introduction which way it's going to go. I hope it goes in the Steve Jobs type direction. That would be fantastic. It would be a little ridiculous because Musk is still alive. He's going to be alive for another 50 years. But so it's really journalism, not a biography. But if it goes that way, I'll be really happy. Uh, let's see here. Aaron, well, actually, you could correct the Dude Bros. I can indeed correct the Dude Bros. I am their worst nightmare. I'm not avoidable. You can't get around me. You can't out argue me. I know what you're going to say before you say it. And all of your presuppositions, all the Dude Bro presuppositions when they encounter me only work in my favor. They see me and they see exactly what you see if you don't know me. Some crapulent old guy, greatest generation. He's just gonna wheeze on and on. He doesn't understand anything. Doesn't know anything at all. He just doesn't like young people. That's what you see when you see me. That's not who I am. And but the fact that any dude bro is going to start any kind of debate with me, believing that, gives me a free 15 minutes to just go circumnavigate them completely. And also I have the ultimate secret weapon when it comes to correcting dude bros, which is that I actually care about them. I'm not dismissing them. I would want to correct them in order to save them, and that has been why I have saved the tiny handful that I have saved. And that's the last thing they're ever expecting. They are ready for a world that is ready to fight them. Right? They're all Marcus Aurelius wannabes. They're all ready for a world that wants to fight them. They're not ready for someone who likes them, wants to help them, but doesn't agree with them and won't let them hold their dumb opinions. They're not they're not ready for that at all. Declan is still going on. He is named Robert Leckie now. Robert Leckie has been dead for 300 years. View from the bar. So irked with the recent trend of small scale thrillers ending with grenade launcher shootouts. Makes me think it's editors encouraging Netflix salability. You're almost certainly right about that. Yeah, McKinty, the chain. Yeah, you're almost certainly right about the reason. They're all looking for the Netflix deal. All of them are. Jenny Parks, speaking of historians, how do you feel about Neil Oliver? I enjoyed watching him on TV, but I haven't tried his books other than The Master of Shadow, which was oddly fiction. which I didn't realize he wrote. I don't recognize the name. Does he publish in America? Declan, are you planning any videos for July at War? Are you kidding? Of course, yes. I'm gonna get over the weirdness of it not being of it being an event that was created by someone who's not on BookTube. That's weird. That actually worked against me so much, unexpectedly strongly, for February fantasy stories that I couldn't do it. I ended up just not. It didn't feel like I was doing anything. I'm just going to try not to have that happen. We've got a lot of good company there, and I love reading about war in fiction and nonfiction. Um, Gandhi says Succession featured Bertrand Russell's quote: "Life is nothing but a competition to be the criminal rather than the victim." Balin 321. Murray is not into conspiratorialism. OFC. I don't know what OFC means. And I'm worried about immigration as well. But the solution is never anything but genocide or despondence, which just depresses me. The solution that people propose, you mean? Because some people do. I agree that those things get the headlines, but some people do propose sensible uh, immigration ideas that take into account vast resources, vast amounts of space, maybe requirements for citizenship, that sort of thing. There are reasonable discussions that happen, but it's become such a hot button topic. Uh, Aaron, Edward Gibbon, Richard Pipes. Let's just get them all on the table and move on. But you're not going to name the one that it is. So you would name every historian who's ever lived. You wouldn't name the one that it is. That's how this goes. When I stop the Steve stream, I will remember it. Neil Oliver is Scottish. Okay. Has Neil Oliver ever had a book published in America? Jenny Parks, I have no idea. All I know is he's Scottish, and a lot of his books are all ancient British history. Aaron, Bruce Barr, and was Douglas Murray before Murray completely forgotten? Declan, if anyone interested, Paramount Plus has the first season of Strange New Worlds on YouTube for free. View from the Bar. Any predictions about the Ukraine counteroffensive? We'll see. We'll see. I think I don't tend to make predictions about anything involving that subject because I think there's a lot that we don't know. So if I were to start make windy, long predictions, well, then I would be one of any number of YouTube channels that have 500,000 subscribers for doing exactly that. Maybe I should do that. If I had the ad money that comes from 500,000 subscribers, you know what I would do with it? I'd start sending plane tickets to a lot of the people in this chat. Now you have no excuse. Come to Boston and stay for a week. Uh, Nowhere boy. Douglas Murray is a reheated Enoch Powell. Discuss. Nowhere boy. You're pushing my buttons in all the best ways. That has been said to Douglas Murray's face many, many times. And it relies on you taking Enoch Powell and reducing everything about the man to one speech. That's the only way that it makes any sense at all is if you take that man and everything he ever thought, everything he ever wrote, and distill it to one speech. And I don't think that's fair to do to Enoch Powell or to Douglas Murray. The Spaminator, how do you think Marcus Aurelius would react to modern day dude bros? He'd have nothing but scorn for them. At all. Of course, he'd have nothing but scorn for them. And the modern day dude bros who make videos on YouTube, he might feel a couple of other things for them in addition to scorn. uh, uh, Balin 321 OFC equals, of course. No, it doesn't. OFC is a jumble of letters that you use because your characters are limited on Twitter. Of course, is English. They don't. It's not the equal sign. The equal sign means the two things on the other side of this are the same thing. They aren't, but I know what it stands for. Aaron, the victims' revolution is good starting point for contemporary political correctness. Uh, oh, where did you go? We're going to try and blast through as many of these. We're past 10 past the hour. We'll just go to 15 past the hour. Nowhere boy. Which birds do you think hate flying? I saw a very unhappy Canada goose landing on a pond today. Well, Canada geese are clearly on the way to being transitional species that don't fly. So they must hate it. So imagine flying over the Alps. Balin 321, the piece in the New Yorker about Ukraine was very interesting, very good, very sad also. Fit to be read while still on. Looks Jenny Parks was here all along, clearly trying to make up for earlier asking, how's everyone doing? Well, I'm going to blast through more comments, but we're wrapping this up. It is still on. This has been 2 hours. I was kind of hoping for 2 hours, and this is exactly what I needed. I cannot thank you all enough. I really can't. I can't thank you all enough. I needed this to get back on track. Uh, let's see here. Uh, Jenny Parks, who is Enoch Powell? Might want to. I ordinarily I would say Wikipedia, but what you should do is go to YouTube because it's going to revolve around one speech anyway. So you might as well just watch the speech and get it out of the way. Just go to YouTube and type in Enoch Powell speech. You don't even need to give the typical title for it. Just that. The first 10 things will be that. That way you'll know what how he is fixed in the mind of political commentators in the last 60 years. It's not fair. Just keep that in mind. It's one speech, but you got to hear it. It's absolutely correct. In the next 30 years, you're going to hear Enoch Powell's name a lot because in the next 30 years, we are going to be dealing with a lot of immigration issues. So you might as well know was an absolutely infamous figure. Um, Aaron says, "I bet a certain revanchist with world leader is going to die in his sleep, Soviet style." We'll see. We'll see. It haven't happened yet. I always say this that it haven't happened yet. Uh, Orthia NZ, Boston for a week. Yes, please. Well, I always like my guests to stay. And the David Murphy Memorial Cot is right there. The bean will scream at you because she's happy to see you. Declan says, "Oh, Steve, did you ever respond to the Harper's cover story about Ukraine?" I read it. I don't know what you mean by respond. I thought it was quite good. Jenny is responding to Fit to Be Read. But we are wrapping this up. I'm never going to get to the end of these comments, so we're just going to have to wrap it up. Uh, Balin 321, the characters are limited here as well to 200. You weren't anywhere close. You should get rid of those abbreviations. Just scrub them from usage. Uh, Grandma Joe, I know that name. Hi, Steve. Just had a 6-month-old German short hair pointer join our family. He seems a bit goofy. I recall at the moment is 0. Any hints? He does have 3 other dogs to follow. He'll be fine. He'll be fine. He doesn't would you the 6 months old? Just don't do anything. Just love him. He'll be fine. He'll be fine. They are a bit goofy, but he'll be fine, especially if he's got other dogs who know the lay of the land. There's definitely no heavy hand. Don't make any requests at 6 months old. Just in very little time. It'll feel like an eternity to you, but in very little time, he's going to start asking you what you want. And Pointer's a wonderful dog, so in very little time, he's going to start asking you what you want, and then you can start. But don't start now. I mean, don't ruin his babyhood. Oh, give him a smooch on the nose for me. Oh my God. Fit to Be Read. I saw 2 Blue Jays and Blue Jay babies. Rare. Declan says, "Oh, wait, where'd you go?" Nothing we're ever going to get to the end of this. Enoch Powell was an interesting character. Search on YouTube. Yeah. If you go on YouTube, you will see what you need to see about him. And then you go to Wikipedia and finish up. In an hour, you'll know all the stuff you need to know. Uh, Aaron, to be fair, YouTube allows fewer characters than Twitter. Uh, Aaron, look up Enoch Root instead. Much more entertaining. Lydia Joy, who is your favorite guest murderer on Columbo? I can't decide between Jack Cassidy and Robert Vaughn, both so good at playing insufferable pricks. I agree, they're both really good, but for me, it's not either one of them. It's uh, ugh, um, oh come on. Uh, I'm blanking on the name. I'm blanking on the name. He is a big British actor. He played George Bernard Shaw in a TV movie. It's gone right out of my head, but he's in a few. He plays a funeral director in one of them. He's gone right out of my head, but he's always a joy to watch. Um, but let's see here. Let's try and blast through some comments here before we go. I have to go. Francisco, ironically, Americans are immigrating to Mexico in great numbers, more than ever before. Mostly big cities in the states have become super expensive, and also political reasons. Yeah, it's not going to do them any good, but yeah. Fit to Be Read, please refer to the cot as the Dreamboat cot. David Murphy's no dreamboat, so I got it for him because he was coming up, and I thought I can't subject one more guest to this old futon where you have to use 10 pillows just to make it bearable. Uh, Andrew Salisbury enjoyed the conversation. Thank you. Balin 321 has tons of abbreviations. Grandma Joe, thanks, Steve. He sleeps under the door, under the doona with me, and will give him a big smooch. Please do. Tell him his king says hello. I'd love to meet him. You already know. If you have other dogs, you already know. A light touch will do the best. In the end, in the end, 15 years from now, when you're holding him for the last time, you're not going to be thinking about all the stuff he ruined or the stuff he did wrong in the next year. And if you do things to make him worry about those things now, you're going to be remembering how that felt then. Don't do that to yourself. They're gifts and they're here for no time at all. That's just my opinion. A light touch. They can't electrocute themselves. You can't let them electrocute themselves, but almost anything else, just roll with it. They're gifts. You don't put conditions on gifts, but I think you already know that. Just please do give him a smooch on the nose for me. The Spaminator, did you do a review of the new Metamorphoses translation, the woke one? Haven't heard your thoughts yet. No, I did not. Again, as earlier in this interminable Steve stream, sometimes it pays off to pay attention to what I am scrupulously not talking about, especially if I absolutely should be talking about it. If the metrics mean I shouldn't, you should have heard me talk about it endlessly. A new translation of my single favorite book. And you're right. You have seen no review. You have heard no word. Uh, Tyler, speaking of abbreviations, James Merrill has a great poem called "If You Can Erd This," but I won't dare ask whether you've read it. Aaron, the actor is Robert Conquest. No, it's not. Oh my God, we're going to go through this with actors now. Oh my God. No, it's not Robert Conquest. Jenny Parks, guess I'll have to get some sleep then. Uh, Aaron says, now I miss cuddling with my boxer, Peachy Girl. Christopher Plummer. No, not Christopher Plummer. I don't know why the name's not coming to me. Actors usually get a pass, but all I can think of, it's ridiculous, but all I can think of now is that he played George Bernard Shaw in a TV movie that came out probably 30 years ago. And it's just not coming to me. That's Shaw. It's just not. That's been the night for that. Uh, no, it's the actor's not Johnny Knoxville. No, and all these names are just going to confuse me now, so that I will have no idea. Uh, Orthia NZ says, "I missed my dog just now. Mine is sound asleep on top of my arm, but she got up for a while. She was really restless, and she got up for a while. So she wandered around for a bit. She usually absolutely does not do that. So I'm thinking that she probably wandered off somewhere and peed a little. That's what I'm guessing. It's pouring rain outside, so I'd actually prefer that she do that. Patrick McGowan, that's the one. Yep, that's the one. He was on Columbo, I think, a few times. Always wonderful when it was Patrick McGowan. There we go. Uh, uh, but you don't. The rest of you don't have to come up with actor names. We got it. We got that. But we need to wrap this up anyway, because I have to wrap this up and get back to work. But this has been wonderful, and there've been a lot of people here. We never went below 70 after the first 10 minutes. That's really nice. That is really really nice. I really really appreciate that. But I do have to go. I'm sorry. I know I'm the one who started this, but you've all been wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. This is exactly what I needed. This resets the clock. I will now read all night long. And then tomorrow it will be back to normal. It'll be back to normal. Uh, where the normal routines. I loved the break in the routine. I loved having a guest here. But uh, tomorrow it will be back to normal. So a full slate, 5 videos, and all the work in the world as well that I'll do. It'll just be the whole day that I'll do. I think it's going to be raining all day, so I won't be tempted to go anywhere or anything like that. So I tomorrow will be normal, and maybe a Steve stream if I can get ahead of the game. If by 5 in the evening, by 5 in the afternoon, I am ahead of the game, then maybe another Steve stream. But anyway, I have to go. I'm very sorry, but I do. I have to wrap this up. You all, we got, and we, I did get to the end of the comments, so that's great. But you've all been wonderful. You really came through for me tonight. Well, I really needed this. So thank you all very much. And I will see you all soon. Good night, everybody.